All right, everybody, welcome in. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. No Kev Nash today. You are stuck with me, riding solo today. Excited for today's show. A lot to get into. Again, we are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, so make sure you go and check that out. If you haven't done so, make sure you follow the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, as well as our ESPN Dayton Facebook page, our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. There's plenty of places for you to take in the content here at 1410 Wing AM. Again, no Kev Nash today. Kev Nash will be back on the show with us tomorrow. 3 full hours coming your way. Former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey, he'll visit us coming up 5 o'clock. His 5 o'clock visit every Wednesday, always presented by Milano's. And we always appreciate Milano's, of course, on Brown Street, because they always drop in and they always feed us for the 5 o'clock hour. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So here's how it works. When I ride solo, it's just me in the studio. So that means if you call into the show, you are going to get a busy signal. That busy signal will go away when we go to our first break of the show. So when that happens, phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at that point. Just keep in mind, I'm a one-man operation as far as that's concerned right now. I wanted to dive into something that yesterday I spent a little time on that I didn't really get to elaborate, that I had a lot of emails. I still am amazed at how many people actually email complaints into the show. And I think we need to have this discussion about Joey Votto and the Cincinnati Reds coming up. We've talked a lot of Reds as of late. We had Bronson Arroyo on the show yesterday. I'll have a bit of Bronson's and I's conversation about the Reds coming up here in just a moment. He highlighted a couple key things that's very important and critical for the Reds in 2023 coming up. So we'll get to that here shortly. But I wanted to open up with this. Joe Burrow is about to get paid and get paid a lot. And there is not one person out there, including me being one of the biggest Bengals haters out there, as you guys have labeled me. There's not one person out there that believes he's not worth every dime that's coming to him. Joe Burrow deserves to get paid. He deserves that extension, and he's going to get that extension. He's going to get paid, and there's not going to be a single person out there that's going to doubt it, question it, or say, man, maybe that was a little too much. But when Joe Burrow gets paid, the Bengals are going to go from an organization that is that feel good, oh my God, I can't believe where they're at compared to where they're usually at. Man, that feel good story is going to run its course eventually, right? So when Burrow gets paid, can you imagine if over the next 10 years after Burrow gets paid, if they make the playoffs 2 times, and after they make the playoffs 2 times, they don't win in the playoffs, they just get there. Would the Joe Burrow walks on water crowd still exist if 10 years after Burrow signs that contract extension, the Bengals only make the playoffs twice in that run and they get knocked out in the first round? Real Andy Dalton level stuff, right? Would Joe Burrow be considered a god in Cincinnati still, or will the fact that he led them to a Super Bowl last year kind of carry weight a little bit? I don't know. My point is that there is not a sport out there that once you get paid, that you're allowed to lose and not have any kind of kickback or pushback for it. If Joe Burrow signs that mega extension, which we know he is, and he goes on for the next 10 years to make the playoffs 2 times, or maybe never make the playoffs, or maybe make the playoffs, let's say 4 the next 10 years, but continues to lose in the first round, let's be clear. The feel-good story will be a thing of the past, and a whole new narrative will take over. Now, I'm not envisioning that. I'm using this for something, so bear with me. LeBron James was paid a ton of money. He's paid a ton of money to go everywhere. But when LeBron James goes places, he's expected to win. He's expected to win. LeBron doesn't get a grace period. When LeBron's teams miss the playoffs, that's embarrassing. That's bad. You're supposed to make the playoffs. You're supposed to win. That's what you are paid to do. When you're Joe Burrow with the Bengals, you are paid to win football games. When you are LeBron James in the NBA, you are paid to win basketball games. When you are Ryan Day, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, you are paid a lot of money because you're supposed to win football games at the college level, right? That's the expectation. Baseball is a different animal, and it drives me crazy. If you had a choice, like let's say God told you, if you're a godly person, a God-fearing person, and let's say God told you, I'm going to give you the ability to be a professional athlete. You just got to tell me what sport you want to be a professional athlete in. I would say baseball right off the bat. No pun intended. I wouldn't say basketball. That's my favorite sport. Football, you're a gladiator, man. I would love to say football, but no, I'm not going to do football either. I'm going to do baseball, and here's why. You could be individually great and not have any expectations to win, and your job becomes very, very easy. Say what you want about Patrick Mahomes, but it will not be easy. Like, because Patrick Mahomes in the first 5 years, 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl titles. Like, he's done more in 5 years than what most legendary quarterbacks do over a 10 to 15-year window. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has done more in 5 years than Aaron Rodgers has done his entire run in Green Bay. So my point is that eventually things are going to kind of even out a bit. I mean, Patrick Mahomes could end up finishing his career with maybe one more MVP and maybe one more Super Bowl appearance. And that could be his entire career over a 10 to 12, 13-year run. And it's still a Hall of Fame career, don't get me wrong. But he will be viewed in a different light if he spends the next 8 years making the playoffs, getting knocked out of the playoffs, and not winning anything outside of that, right? Because he's paid to win football games. He's paid for his legacy, yada, yada, that type of stuff. In baseball, there is no legacy as far as winning being associated with it. You don't have to win. And that's why baseball's a bad sport, in my opinion, when it comes to that. Joey Votto was paid a ton of money back in 2012, and I don't care how much athletes get paid. But we can't ignore the fact that when you get paid to be the face of a franchise, when you are the leader of a franchise, your job is to be a part of a winning culture. And I'm sorry, but when the Reds signed Joey Votto, there was a winning culture. The Reds signed Joey Votto, and from there on out, there has been no winning culture. There has been no winning culture. Now, there was 2 years that the Reds made the playoffs after Joey Votto signed that $225 million contract. Made it in 2012, obviously. All right, 2012, obviously, and then 2013. I'm not counting 2020, by the way. That was a COVID truncated season, and the Reds were 1 game over 500, 60 games in. It was just the wildest. I mean, even on a 1 game above 500 team, you still had the Cy Young winning pitcher on there. I mean, it was a very odd run for the Reds that year. I don't count that, whatever. But Joey Votto, from the time he got paid until now, 2 playoff appearances, no playoff wins, and really nothing of any significance whatsoever. But Reds fans drool over Joey Votto. Oh, Joey Votto this, Joey Votto. When I think of Pete Rose, you think of Pete Rose, the personality. Yes, you think of the scandals and everything else. I completely get that. But when you think of Pete Rose, when people describe Pete Rose as a baseball player, they describe the grit, the toughness, the desire to win, the urgency with everything that he did and still does to this day. I mean, that dude is intense, always has been, always was, and always will be. But that dude was a competitor, uber competitive. He wanted to win and was going to do anything in his power to do so. When you think of the legend of Pete Rose, you think of World Series, you think of the Big Red Machine, you think of a winning culture, you think of the good old days. For me, for my generation, for me growing up, the Reds team that I grew up watching, it's going to be Joey Votto's Reds. I'm not going to talk about Joey Votto in the same light that you, our listeners, talk about Pete Rose and Joe Morgan and the Big Red Machine and those cats, man. Like, those guys, they had grit, they had grind, they had the work ethic, they had everything. Can you imagine if during that Big Red Machine era, if the Reds just lost every single year, would Joe Morgan and Pete Rose stand for that? Would they put up with that? No, they would not. So yesterday, or 2 days ago, I believe it was, over the weekend, Joey Votto was asked about his thoughts on, of course, the Reds fans and their continued criticism of the organization for not winning enough baseball games. Here's Joey Votto and his response.
Yeah, no, say it. We deserve it. We have to play better. And, it's a failure of ours to leave the fan base, such a supportive fan base, dissatisfied. And we are aware of it. I am aware of it. The cynicism, in my opinion, is completely justified. More of it, give it to us. We deserve it. And, we're working towards it, but we have to do it collectively. And hearing their challenges, I think, helps us.
Really, the same challenges, Mr. Votto, that have existed since 2014. We're going on year 9 of being an embarrassing franchise. We're going on year 9 of you being the face of an embarrassing franchise. We're going on year 9 of this being the very first time that I've ever heard Joey Votto almost kind of show any kind of sympathy whatsoever with the fans. And as Kevin and I talked about yesterday, too little, too late. You were the face of a franchise. You were the highest paid player on this team. And every year, he's happy-go-lucky. He does it like it. I don't want to see my star athletes like in the fetal position crying because their team's losing. But my goodness, y'all made fun of LeBron James because he was pissed off about a foul call that didn't go his way and made fun of him for that. All while Joey Votto dresses up and does all these weird little skits on TikTok. He's more worried about his TikTok representation than he is the Reds winning damn baseball games. I am sorry. That is a joke. And baseball's a joke if that's the case. This is why I said earlier, if I had a conversation with the big man upstairs, he said, I'm going to give you the ability to be a professional athlete. You pick the sport. I would pick baseball because there was no expectation to win. I just get to go, swing the bat, put the bat on the ball, make millions and millions of dollars, have no expectations to win, and somehow be labeled an all-time great. No. When I think of Pete Rose, when I think of the Big Red Machine, I think of winning. I think of a great time period in Reds history. When I think of Joey Votto, I'm going to think of almost a decade straight of no playoff appearances. And it's going to go well over a decade because the team's not making the playoffs this year. And when they do make it with this young group that's being developed, that's going to be a true winning culture that had nothing to do with Joey Votto. And I don't hate Joey Votto by any means. I don't hate anybody. But the bottom line is that this idea that I got ripped in emails and social media yesterday because I was critical of Joey Votto. I said, hold up. I get it. When I'm critical of Joe Burrow, I get why people get a little pushy, a little upset there because it's Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is great. And look at all the things that he has done. Joe Burrow came in and established a winning culture in Cincinnati. There's not one point of Joey Votto's career where you're going to associate Joey Votto in winning, period. It's that simple. I'm Justin Kenner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm going to unlock the phone lines coming up here in just a few moments so you can call and jump in on the conversation. Mark Smith says Joe Burrow hasn't lost in the first round of the playoffs. Mark, thank you. Yes, I'm very well aware of that. No need to be sensitive. This wasn't a bashing Joe Burrow segment. I'm trying to establish the fact that if Joe Burrow when he signs his contract and then goes on to maybe make the playoffs 2 times in the next 10 years, would that be acceptable in Cincinnati? No, it will not. It will not. Why is it acceptable for Joe Burrow or for Joey Votto? Why is Joey Votto still put up on a pedestal when all he has done is lose since he signed that contract back in 2012? That's all he has done. There is not one portion of the Votto run outside of before he signed the contract that you can associate winning and Joey Votto. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Scott Campbell says, to be fair, a Joe Burrow or a LeBron James have a far greater impact on their teams in their sports than a Joey Votto would have on baseball. The Reds would need like 5 Vottos. Stop giving him the benefit of the doubt, dude. That's ridiculous. We get mad. Like, for instance, there are stars out there like Bryce Harper and others who, if they don't like the direction of their franchise, although I'm not a big fan of this, they at least hold their ownership's feet to the fire. They hold them accountable. They say, get me out of here. When does Joey Votto ever once, have you ever once worried that Joey Votto, oh man, we better start winning or Votto's going to force his way out of Cincinnati? Never. All the dude has done is accept losing. He's content with losing. There is not one stretch in his run in Cincinnati where we have heard him almost be fed up with losing. No, he's always doing the TikTok videos and he's always trying to be cute and fun on social media and yada, yada. Like, winning is not a priority. Winning is not a priority. It's just not. It never has been and it never will be. And, well, the era of Joey Votto is almost done anyways. But when I hear that audio of him say, hey, we deserve it. We deserve it. They should do that. Oh, thanks for the permission for being fed up with a team that's lost for a decade straight, with you being the best player on that team, and at no point ever being vocal about holding the ownership's feet to the fire. Accountability. I do believe as a star player, the face of a franchise, you do play a role in the team's winning or losing culture. And at least there's some athletes out there who are like, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of this losing. Get me out of here. I said the same thing about AJ Green when he was in Cincinnati. All the losing with the Cincinnati Bengals, and every time he'd come out and say, man, I never want to leave Cincinnati. Then they finally start winning, and then the Bengals ship him out of town. That might be Votto's next thing. When the Reds do finally start winning, too little, too late. Goodbye, Votto. But Jake Overholtz, Joey Votto isn't an all-time great. A lot will argue that. A lot of people will argue that. All right. Justin Kenner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Wind advisory in effect until 1 a.m. It'll be breezy with showers and 56 tonight. Mostly sunny, breezy, 72 tomorrow. Sunshine, but only 39 on Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Hey there, friends. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's code APP70. Use code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill up.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Searching for fun ways to spend your tax return? Boats for cats. Oh, flotation devices for cats. Don't waste it all on something silly. Spend smarter with Straight Talk. Get our Silver Unlimited plan for $45 a month with unlimited high-speed data and with nationwide 5G. Plus, get a Samsung A13 5G for only $99.99, down from $149. If you're looking to get the most out of your refund, your search ends here. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Like bones, your teeth lose density and become weaker over time, which can lead to tooth decay. And that can make your visit to the dentist feel like this. But if you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Densify from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America. Smile, Crest has you covered.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Justin Kinner back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So, and of course, and by the way, this is how this works. I'm in the studio solo today. Kev Nash will be back with us starting tomorrow, but phone lines are only open during the break. So when we come back on the air, of course, phones start blinking. But here's the cool thing. If you want to get your opinion heard on the air, and I can't take your call this exact moment, text that same number, 518-1410, 937-518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to text in and jump in on the conversation. Plus the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Also, we have our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. There's lots of different ways that you can jump in on the conversation. We opened up the show today, me just kind of highlighting Joey Votto, and kind of when I think of the Reds and I think of Joey Votto, I associate Joey Votto with losing. Baseball is such a strange sport. It's the only sport I know that the guys that make the most money on a team, there's no expectation to win. There's no expectation to win. And that drives me nuts. Now, what people tried to do is what I believe Scott Campbell is trying to do here. Scott Campbell says the Reds aren't even wanting their minor leaguers to win because they get moved up before making a playoff run. Can't develop a culture of winning in the minors if the minors never win. Then here's where Joey Votto's responsibility comes into play, Scott, is this. Joey Votto, as the face of a franchise, has to establish that winning culture. And how you establish that winning culture is whether you accept the wrongdoings of the front office, if you will. I don't like when star athletes hold their franchises hostage necessarily. Like Aaron Rodgers, I'm so torn. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but what I do like about what Aaron Rodgers has done over the last 4 or 5 years is he's basically called out his front office saying, hold on. I've given you everything. I've given you everything that I have. I've won multiple MVPs. I've won you a Super Bowl. And in my time here, the only offensive player you've ever drafted in the first round was my potential replacement. He called his front office out. That's why I respect Aaron Rodgers. I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, but I believe that every star player has a responsibility to keep their team in check a little bit, to kind of remind them that, hey, without me, you're nobody. And maybe the reason Joey Votto doesn't do that with the Reds is because he realizes, well, they're losing with me. They can lose without me. Aaron Rodgers knows they can't win without me. The Reds, all they've done with Joey Votto is lose. That's all they do is lose. Lose, 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 lose. Joey Votto will always be associated with losing. That's why, he's going to be a Reds Hall of Famer. He may potentially be a Hall of Famer. He is such a polarizing figure. I know he's almost an all-time great. I don't know if I could put him in that category because there's too much losing. I mean, my goodness, I don't know how we could just ignore the losing and ignore the fact that, okay, yes, the minor league system for the Cincinnati Reds has not been great and that they don't put a huge emphasis on that, although they have changed that. Big fan of Nick Kroll. Want to throw that out there. The thing is, Joey Votto had a responsibility over the last 10 years to go to the front office and say, hey, guys, like, what are we doing? Why are we waiting too long for this rebuild? Or why are we not adding to this rotation? Why are we letting Sonny Gray go? This is the last part. This is the last stretch of my contract. Don't you want to win while we have me on the team? Like, a little ego would be nice. A little ego would be nice. He's more worried about TikTok dances and being up in the broadcast booth and all that stuff. I want a star player. If you are the face of a franchise, you're the highest paid player on a team, you have a responsibility. And I don't know why I'm getting this angry, but it's like we as fans are soft as fans. We got to stop letting our star players off the hook. Bengals fans, kudos to you, because I felt like you guys did this all the time with AJ Green. You guys did this all the time with players on the Bengals. Some of you, not all of you, if you don't, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I remember I had some heated conversations with some of our listeners because some of you were upset that the Cincinnati Bengals moved on from Andy Dalton, who wanted to be a Bengal. You kept saying, oh, man, Andy Dalton wanted to be here. AJ Green wanted to be here because at that time that meant something to you because nobody wanted to be a Cincinnati Bengal. Now you've been to a Super Bowl, won the AFC North a couple times. You've been to back-to-back AFC championship games. Now you're like Andy Dalton, who I get it. Like, it's gross. Yeah, right. Like, you've moved on. You've moved past that. But the point is, you guys compartmentalized for the longest time. You know, it's, you know, you didn't want the team to get, but you were being tricked by the fact that these players wanted to remain a Cincinnati Bengal instead of saying, hey, AJ Green, why aren't you putting the pressure on our organization to win? Those are the same things I always complained about with AJ Green. And now I'm saying the same thing about Joey Votto. The difference is AJ Green was never the face of the Bengals franchise. Joey Votto is the face of the Cincinnati Reds franchise. He owes them that. Jacob Fightmaster says this is an example of winning fixes anything. I mean, possibly. I'm not sure. I mean, it would. I think right now, for those who are on the fence of whether Joey Votto is an all-time great or not, I think at the end of the day, what would solidify him as an all-time great is winning. Stats aren't everything. And Joey Votto, that's all he is stats. But Derek Jeter, that's a prime example right there. That's he isn't the sexiest dude when it comes to stats. But hell, he's an all-time great because of winning. We have to raise our standards. No wonder the Reds front office has been just kind of coasting along over the last decade plus because there's been no pressure to win because we as fans have low standards. We need to pick those standards up. Votto is a low standard. Votto doesn't care about winning, so you don't care about winning. We need athletes here that care. If the Bengals started screwing up around Joe Burrow, he would hold them accountable. He would voice out his frustration. He would threaten to leave. He would do any of those things. And as he should, if that's the case. That's not the case because the Bengals are winning. The Reds aren't winning. Jake Overholt says, in my opinion, an all-time great has to be the best player at his position during the time he played the game. St. Louis has had 2 first basemen that are better than Votto. That's fair. That's fair. That's why I'm always like torn on like I'm letting the social media guys who bully me all the time like convince me. I'm like, well, I mean, I know Votto's good. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm frustrated about Joey Votto. Is it's rare to get a talent in the potential. I mean, Joe, he was an MVP. The Reds had an MVP season from Joey Votto, and honestly, I think it was 16 or 17, where if the Reds weren't a last place team, he would have won MVP that year. And I don't feel bad that Joey Votto didn't get the MVP. I think Paul Goldschmidt got it that year. And so the thing is that's Joey Votto's fault. The Reds didn't waste your MVP season. You let them waste it. You wasted it. You didn't put the feet to the fire of the Reds organization. Now, let's be clear. Would the Reds have bowed down to Joey Votto? Probably not. But I would have respected Joey Votto a hell of a lot more if he said, you know what? Forget this. Get me out of here. I want to win, and we're not doing it here. But I'm not saying I don't respect Joey Votto because that's disrespectful, but I have a hard time from a fan's perspective. I have a hard time dealing with athletes who are content with losing. At any point, folks, can you explain to me if there's ever been a stretch where you felt that the losing was just destroying Joey Votto? He's been very content. He's been very happy. I mean, my goodness, he's doing, like I said, I keep bringing it back to the TikTok stuff, but I'm like, does that look like a guy on these TikTok dances and stuff he's doing? While his team's in last place? Does that look like a guy that is just, set on, getting healthy and getting back or winning and helping his team win baseball? No, he's acting more like a child than the 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds on the roster. I'm sorry. I know we're not used to media criticizing Joey Votto, but I've been holding this in for a while. And then, getting lit up yesterday because I had the nerve to criticize Joey Votto, who, again, there's nothing about Joey Votto that you can put with winning. Nothing. So there it is. Scott says, I am disagreeing with you, but pointing out, he goes, I'm not disagreeing with you, but pointing out that the blame needs to be placed on the front office here and the differences of the star players. Scott, you are acting like there's only one finger. This isn't a front office thing. It's a front office thing, but it's not like a front office only thing. It's not an exclusive blaming point. The Bengals, the front, this is why I disagree. Scott, you're wrong. You're just straight up wrong. Okay. You are wrong. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincinnati Reds were viewed as two of the biggest jokes of organizations in their respective sports. You want to know what happened to one? Actually, it happened to both. One team got a Joey and the other team got a Joey. One Joey, one personal, got the individual stats, the MVP award, and did nothing but lose. The other Joey comes in, hasn't won the individual awards, has been slighted on some, and all he does is win, take his team to the Super Bowl, back-to-back AFC championship games, AFC North. Now you've done it, Scott. You've made me defend Joe Burrow, so now I'm even more angry. But you see my point. The Bengals front office was horrid. It was horrible, and it's still a lot of the same people there. But Joe Burrow has come in and masked a lot of those issues. He's been the Band-Aid that has kind of solved a lot of those issues. Joey Votto didn't solve any issues for the Reds. They didn't maximize that time there. Doug Toby, if you're not 40 or older, you wouldn't understand the way baseball was played. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, we played baseball 8 hours a day. Doug, what? What in reference to what? Unless I said something earlier that I missed, my bad. I don't know what that's pertaining to, nonetheless. But all right, I want to be done with this Joey Votto conversation, but I appreciate the input on the social media side, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, Justin Kinder Show Facebook page. I'll get back to taking your calls here in a moment, and we'll get to the text line here shortly as well. 518-1410. Text your thoughts to the text line, and I'll respond to those coming up here in a moment. Yesterday, we had former Cincinnati Red Bronson Arroyo on the show, and I'm not playing the entire interview, but do have a clip I wanted to share from that interview. Because while I just highlighted a lot of the negative stuff with this organization, I do believe that Joey Votto, while he's currently on the roster, he's in the past. Joey Votto to me is not a Red this year. I mean, if he does things, great, but I'm not focused on Joey Votto. There are guys that are going to come in that are going to be a part of the winning culture moving forward. And I do believe that once this roster does not have Joey Votto on it, it will finally look like a team that is ready to go in the direction of winning. Until then, we got to deal with TikTok dances. Here's the problem, though. Or not really the problem. Here's the silver lining, though. The Jonathan Indias, the Tyler Stevensons, those are the dudes that are going to rally this team. The Hunter Greens, the Nick Lodolos, the Graham Ashcrafts. Those are the guys, the Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie De La Cruz, I'm promising you this. That dude comes in, and they're losing 4 years into his run in Cincinnati. That dude's as good as gone. He is as good as gone. He ain't going to want to stick around and lose. Star players, true competitive star players don't want to stick around and lose. There's going to be this young talent that's coming through is just phenomenal. Here is what Bronson Arroyo had to say regarding specifically the three pitchers that could be the face of this rotation for quite some time, talking about Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, and Graham Ashcraft. Here was Bronson Arroyo from yesterday's show.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, the key to success right now is going to be those three guys you just named. The three starting pitchers, you've got to stay healthy. I mean, in an organization that's as young as this one is, you've got a bunch of guys on this club right now that are trying to establish themselves as major league starters, right? As major league players in general. You got Jonathan India, who won Rookie of the Year last year. They made adjustments to him, and he didn't have as good of a season. And you're hoping he's going to bounce back this year and be the same guy we saw in year one. And if the starting three can go out there and give this team, 180 innings and win 12 games apiece, I think you have a chance to surprise some people. But when you have a team that's as young as this one is, and everyone is really trying to establish themselves at a major league level at the same time, it's very, very difficult to push towards getting into a playoff situation. It's just a rebuilding process right now. They're trying to make sure that the minor league system is stockpiled with some talent that can come up all at the same time and try to make some headway at the big league level. But I personally, if I'm totally guessing here, Reds fans are going to have to be patient for a little while. I think it's going to be a couple of years before we have an opportunity to see some of these young guys really flower to the place where they can pull this train all the way to a playoff.
Good stuff from Bronson Arroyo on yesterday's show. If you missed that, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, check that out. Text the show, 518-1410. Your text responses coming up next. ESPN Dayton's YouTube and Facebook page as well. Sean Matthew, he says, so is Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Are they free of criticism too? The Angels are them also. It's just not Joey. Sean, relax. Because, yes, I also very critical of not Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani's in what, year 2 or 3? And by the way, year 2 or 3, Shohei Ohtani and his representatives, they're trying to get him out of the Angels. And I think that, when you want to bring up the Angels, I'm glad that you did, because for one, if you want to talk about Mike Trout, that's a true superstar player, by the way. Joey Votto's not. He's a star to us here in Dayton and Cincinnati, but he's not he's not the upper echelon of players in Major League Baseball. I mean, let's just be real. Mike Trout, yes, I've always said the same thing. Mike Trout, the reason I'm not a big Mike Trout fan is because that guy also, this is a guy that hasn't won anything with the Angels. He has never won with the Angels. He's had one playoff appearance his entire decade-long career with the Angels. Knowing that he has never won with the Angels, he signed that mega extension. Why? Because it was a $500 million contract. I mean, the dude is getting paid stupid amounts of money, and good for him. But I think he showed you where his priorities lie. I'm living in LA. I am making the most money in Major League Baseball. Don't mind me. I'm just over here trying to stay healthy, and, well, hopefully I could stick around in enough Subway commercials that people might know who the hell I am. And as far as Shohei Ohtani is concerned, don't bring Shohei Ohtani down into the mud. Shohei Ohtani will not be an Angel much longer because that dude, for one, wants to get paid, should get paid, and wants to win. He ain't winning in LA, which is the weirdest, strangest thing to say. At least he's not winning in LA. He's not winning with the Angels. Maybe LA, maybe the Dodgers. He can win with the Dodgers. That dude, Shohei Ohtani, that dude's a winner. He's going to be a winner. And he's going to end up on a team that actually appreciates winning. The Angels, teams like the Angels and Reds, they don't care about that. They don't care about that, period. Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. August 3rd, Rose Music Center at the Heights. And Friday, August 4th, PNC Pavilion. With special guests, the Mavericks. And 49 Winchester. Reserve seat tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
Tenderloins, 3 dipping sauces, 2 of our irresistible large sides, and 5 fluffy biscuits. It's family time made from scratch. Take home a top-notch dinner the whole family will love from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What are the advantages of shopping at Chevrolet of Troy? Selection has never been better, with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority. We care about you, with thousands off MSRP, a full-service state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop today. 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet with 25,000 30,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Lyric's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Lyric's, continuing the tradition.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. Get the last roof you'll ever need. Steel Roofing offers the best wind resistance, superior hail resistance, and can be ordered cut to your length. It installs fast and is the choice of more and more homeowners in the Midwest. Choose from 25 beautiful colors in-store or online and get 11% off. Good through February 26th. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Men, women, and young adults can find health wellness services at odh.ohio.gov/RHWP. Connect with a health provider to receive services like screenings for healthy weight, cancer, smoking cessation assistance, as well as other health services. Visit odh.ohio.gov/RHWP to find and connect with a location near you to schedule your in-person or telehealth visit today.
If you're looking to get a new car, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive. Sure, you love your old car, but you know it's not normal to give instructions on how to open the window. It should be self-explanatory, but it's not. And notice how when you're in other people's cars, you can feel cushion in the seats? That's pretty nice, right? No, it's just normal. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and put the savings toward a new car. It's time. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
3 people you should be 100% certain about: your barber, your plumber, and your tax pro. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and you can be 100% certain about your taxes. We'll get you your maximum refund guaranteed and we'll back your return for life. Don't be kind of certain or almost certain. Be 100% certain. Switch to Jackson Hewitt today and get 50% off tax prep. Limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey, he'll be live with us coming up here in studio, 5 o'clock. Just about an hour and 15 from now. We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, to close out hour number 1, just a quick preview for what's coming up in hour number 2. How about this? Reports circulating, and again, we're all very curious about, CJ Stroud. By the way, one thing I will, because we've been critical of Ryan Day as of late for Ohio State, right? Like, losing, hasn't won the Big Ten in 2 years, lost to Michigan the last 2 years, hasn't won a playoff game in quite some time. Like, it's starting to pile up a little bit. But I will say that the Ryan Day effect, and again, people will give a lot of this credit to Urban Meyer, but again, it was, Ryan Day and Urban Meyer, in my opinion. We're talking about Ohio State quarterbacks when it comes to the NFL now more than ever before. which is pretty cool. That shows you the progression of the offense and the progression of the program when it comes to its offensive philosophy and all of that. But in hour two, a very interesting headline, reports circulating that the Dallas Cowboys are very interested in CJ Stroud. And while that idea and while that conversation point, of course, Ohio State fans are away, no, stay away. I wouldn't be so negative to that. I would actually, if I'm a Buckeye fan, and I am, now maybe it's because I'm a Cowboy fan too, but at the same time, I mean, the complaints about Justin Fields in Chicago is the fact that they won't do anything to put weapons around him. All Jerry Jones has done for Dak Prescott is put weapons around him, and they haven't been able to maximize that. I'd rather be in Dak Prescott's shoes, having a lot of weapons put around me to raise expectations, than have no weapons put around me like Justin Fields, and then still be held to the standard of, well, what are you doing for me? We'll get to that coming up here around the corner. All right, yesterday's show, Kev Nash and I, we, of course, were reacting coming out of the weekend, the NBA All-Star game from over the weekend. We don't talk a ton of NBA on here. I don't think you guys care about the NBA that much. I think that it's just different talking points might hit here and there. But based on the numbers and what data shows us, NBA doesn't move the needle for that much, here in Dayton. The All-Star game didn't move the needle in any market. The NBA All-Star game this past weekend, did you know it was the lowest rated and least watched All-Star game ever? The ratings declined 29% and viewership 27% from last year's All-Star game. All right, the record low audience places the NBA All-Star game well behind this year's NFL Pro Bowl, which was also a joke. It was a flag football game. A flag football game had better viewership and higher ratings than a collective of the world's best basketball talent that they have to offer. This year's decline, it's the steepest for the game from one year to the next since the year 2000. Now, the reason I bring that up is because of the fact that that's a huge, it's the first time in 20 years we've seen that game dip. Now, I thought it was a horrendous this past weekend. Kev and I are on different sides on this. Kev and I both love the NBA. I love basketball. I watch anything basketball related. I'll watch. But I couldn't watch that this past weekend. The dunk contest, McClung, okay, I get it. It's a great story. Super fantastic. It was an entertaining dunk. But the thing is, it's called the All-Star game for a reason. It's called All-Star weekend for a reason. McClung's not an all-star. If I paid, I'd be furious. I'm not paying money to go watch McClung in the dunk contest. All right. And then the All-Stars, when you do see them, are basically putting up the middle finger to every single one of you. Standing around. By the way, the NBA is criticized today because of all the standing around and no effort on defense and just the load management and yada. There's so much criticism and so much negativity that surrounds the game of basketball right now, that I thought that was the biggest FU to the fans that I have seen from any sport out there in quite some time. The NBA, the players themselves are becoming very unlikable. They really are, in my opinion. Like they're not relatable. They're not trendy anymore. Like you look at the NFL, little kids, they want to be those athletes, right? Like, you look at I see it firsthand with the impact of the Cincinnati Bengals. You're seeing it in grade school. These kids, they want to be Jamar Chase. They want to be Joe Burrow. They're emulating everything that they see there. These kids outside of copying Steph Curry from behind the three-point line, the kids may have a couple players here and there that they like, but overall, the fans themselves want nothing to do with the NBA. That is embarrassing. Like, I get it. It's an exhibition game, and you can't put too much stock into an exhibition game, but you can. Because if you can't take your entire league's collective worth of great all-star players and put them on the floor at the same time, if a game that features every top star in the league can't get you to keep the channel on or turn the channel on, I'd say that's a problem. It's not just an exhibition game. It's a stage that has every single one of your top assets on display. And they're basically telling you, the viewer, that the only reason that they are millionaires to begin with is because of me and you and those listening and watching at home. I think that's it's nauseating to me. And you can make an argument that most athletes are like that, but I think that the NBA is worse than any other sport when it comes to that. To me, the perception is they're the most selfish group of athletes that are out there. That's the perception. I could be wrong on that, but my perception is the most selfish group of athletes out there are NBA players. And when it comes to showing appreciation for the fans, load management. I believe just like everything in life, by the way, there's a lot of protocols at our job and your job that are put in place to be utilized in the right fashion, right? But then you always have those individuals that abuse it to the point where it puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Load management is meant for the guy that actually does have a bum ankle and maybe needs to take a night or two off just to make sure it gives him a few more days to rest up. It doesn't give the egomaniac athlete that's like, you know what, man, who the hell are you to tell me I need to play tonight? Yeah, I'm not feeling it tonight. You know, I had some bad sushi last night. I was at the club till 4 a.m. I'm good. I ain't gonna play. Give me a break. The NBA has a problem, and it's a perception issue. And regardless of what reality is, as we all know, perception is reality. The NBA is very unlikable right now. And I know a lot of people out there like the NBA. I technically like the NBA. I tune in to every time there's an NBA game on, I'm watching. That makes me a little bit more credible to say this compared to some who don't watch it and say that. I'm always like, okay, you say you don't watch it, but I'm watching it and I understand what you're trying to say to a certain extent. Football, basketball, it's real frustrating right now. It's an exhibition game, I get it. But I think that's a problem. I will say this, though, to slightly defend the NBA. Although the ratings were at all-time low, it was the least watched NBA All-Star game. That's not an indictment on the NBA as a whole, as far as ratings as a whole. Don't get the All-Star game ratings confused with the overall sport ratings. All right, are the ratings as high as what they were back in your day? No, they're not. They're not. The ratings aren't as high as what they used to be. I get that. But they haven't plummeted the way that the perception on social media is today. Everyone's like, oh, see, no one watches the NBA. No, people watch the NBA. They just didn't watch that. And I do believe they didn't watch that for a reason. People watched last year's All-Star game. They watched the year before. But the athletes combined in that game put off a middle finger to all of their fans that pushed them all away. That is something to be weary of. And the other thing, the NBA has become like as bad as baseball was. For me, baseball started to irritate me with all the constant changes, right? These big, just elaborate changes. We're going to have these clown-sized bases, right? Clown-sized bases. We're going to do a pitch clock. We're going to get rid of the shift. We're going to put we're going to have the DH in both leagues now. I mean, right now we've become accustomed to it. But it was a lot for the traditionalists as far as baseball fans are concerned out there. But I do believe baseball needed a shot in the arm to kind of help it a little bit. I don't know about you, but mid-season tournaments with teams outside of the NBA, that idea that's being pitched, that is, I don't care. It's just really silly and kind of embarrassing. If you have the best players in the world, you don't need to include outside leagues or teams. You don't need to do that. It's the NBA. It's the best collective of basketball talent in the entire world. The NBA All-Star game. There was some tradition there that you can go back decades and watch those previous All-Star games and stuff. And now you went from getting rid of the East versus West, which I thought was a huge mistake to begin with. You know, from even little things like, okay, if you played on this, you wear your team's jersey in the All-Star game. I thought that was representation of all the teams. I thought it was a good look for no, but we got to make sure we come up with some new jersey that we could sell and maximize and make money off of, yada, yada. The NBA constantly trying to change the play-in tournament at the end. My goodness, the play-in tournament. Oh, it makes teams more competitive at the bottom. Super. We're watching a bunch of bad teams compete to get blown out by the 1 seed. Can't wait. The NBA needs to get out of its own way because I like Adam Silver. He's one of my favorite commissioners out there when it comes to pro sports. I think he works the best. Like as far as the commissioner as a whole, the relationship between the owners, the commissioner, and the players. There's not a league out there that has a better relationship than Adam Silver between the owners and players. Goodell, hated by the players, tolerated by the owners, hated by national and local media. Don't get me started on baseball. I think we all collectively hate the commissioner for Major League Baseball. Silver does a great job, but he's starting to derail the NBA. Leave it alone. oh, we're gonna go back to grade school and we're gonna pick teams. Stop it with that. East, West. Stop making this hard. Stop making this difficult. Anyways, my rant is over. What say you? Text line. I see those responses are piling up. I'll get to all of those coming up here in just a moment. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Get to your responses and your calls coming up. CJ Stroud to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, would they honestly move on from Dak Prescott? Would they trade all the way up to try to get CJ Stroud? How likely is that? And is it smart to the Dallas Cowboys? We'll talk about that. Top of the hour, next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
Men, women, and young adults can find health wellness services at odh.ohio.gov/RHWP. Connect with a health provider to receive services like screenings for healthy weight, cancer, smoking cessation assistance, as well as other health services. Visit odh.ohio.gov/RHWP to find and connect with a location near you to schedule your in-person or telehealth visit today.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouse2u.com for more info.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy customer.
Atrius Software Accounting is amazing. I was able to see where's all my expenses going, where's the revenue, which month had more revenue. I definitely recommend it to you guys who are a small business and need to record your expenses. And they just make it so easy. I was like, wow, affordable and easy to use. I have recommended it to colleagues.
Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner back with you here, top of the hour. Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Kev Nash out today. He'll be back on tomorrow's show. All right. Some NFL talk. We didn't touch on anything in NFL related yesterday. We did so much NFL over the season. We're just kind of trying our best to kind of ease some other talk into the show a little bit. But at the end of the day, we kind of know who we are, and we're an NFL show, right? Like we spend, I'd say 90% of the show is built around the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns and the AFC North and the NFL as a whole. Outside of that, that's our lane. But we do try to incorporate other talk in there, local, obviously Major League Baseball, the Reds, Ohio State and all that. But nonetheless, so I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan and a Cleveland Browns fan. All right. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I was born in El Paso, Texas. I grew up surrounded by family that did nothing but cheer on the Dallas Cowboys. So when people like to rip me, Stephen A. Smith, I remember the first time we had him on, and he was just, of all the things he was trying to kind of get. This is back when Schlemmer and I worked together, and Schlemmer and I were talking with Stephen A. Smith and catching up with him, and he was kind of getting to know us a little bit. And when I kind of casually dropped that, I'm a Browns fan, Mark had let him know that, or Schlemmer had let him know that I'm also, a Cowboys fan, and that's when he did the, of course, iconic, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan rant. And I've always appreciated that. But yeah, he let me have it because of that. But he did say it's justified. You're at least from Texas. So it kind of makes sense. I said, yeah, I moved to Ohio, became a Browns fan. But nonetheless, so this is an interesting talking point here. CJ Stroud to the Dallas Cowboys. I have no clue how realistic of a situation that this is. But CJ Stroud to the Dallas Cowboys, I kind of like the sound of that. Now, you're probably saying they have a quarterback. They have a quarterback, yes. They have a quarterback in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's a very, very good quarterback. You can win games with Dak Prescott. But I think we're at the point now in Dak Prescott's career where you kind of know what you get. The best opportunity to win with Dak Prescott was earlier in his rookie deal when he had the best offensive line, when he had the best run game, when he had weapons galore on defense. Right now, doesn't have as strong of an offensive line. He doesn't have elite as weapons as he did back in the day. And the run game, although very, very, it was kind of balanced last year, it was better than we had anticipated because of the emergence of Pollard. The run game's not very strong. It's solid, and Pollard is definitely one hell of a talent and will be an elite running back for some team out there if the Cowboys don't find a way to keep him, but he's going to go get paid. So good for the Dallas Cowboys, good for Pollard and all that stuff. But I think the Dak Prescott train has run its course a little bit. This is why I was not a fan of all the peer pressure that was put on Jerry Jones. Was labeled a lot of things for not wanting to pay Dak Prescott. And this is what drives me nuts when we do this. And Jerry Jones, I'm not defending Jerry Jones by any means because he's been involved in some things that make you question certain things about him. But there were some labels that were being put on Jerry Jones because he didn't want to sign Dak Prescott. And that drives me crazy because Jerry Jones was right for dragging his feet with paying Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott won a lot of football games, but I think anyone that really understood what was going on in Dallas understood that it was the run game. It was the defense. It was basically every argument that you could have made during Baker Mayfield's time in Cleveland, same arguments. It's the run game, is the defense. Have occasional great games. By the way, Dak better than Baker Mayfield, don't get me wrong, but being better than Baker Mayfield doesn't make you an elite quarterback. CJ Stroud to Dallas is not that crazy to think about. Jerry Jones is getting up there in age, and Jerry Jones, and this sounds cold, but I don't know how many more years on this earth he has. Hell, to be fair, I don't even know how many years on earth I have left, or you. But the point is there's a little bit more urgency. I know Jerry Jones came out a while ago and said that they were never going to make brash moves to win now, that they were going to, they were setting things up for long-term success. Yeah, it's okay to say the right things, but Jerry Jones isn't really known for saying the right things. We all know that every move that Jerry Jones makes is about winning and winning now. He wants to win now. And back in the day, the idea that you would trade up to get a rookie quarterback to win now, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, that's how good these guys are coming out of college now. And with the way the cap works, it actually does make you better. If you get a talented rookie quarterback on a rookie deal it opens up the door for so many opportunities. And when you open up the door for an owner like Jerry Jones, I think the Cowboys are a perfect landing spot for CJ Stroud. Now, to be clear, as we move on with the rest of this conversation, let's be very clear. On a scale of 1 to 10, the likelihood that the Dallas Cowboys actually trade up to get CJ Stroud, probably very unlikely. But there's enough of this that got out of Cowboys camp for there to have been enough of a conversation, for there to be even a sliver of it to be true to even get out to the media to begin with. Now, a lot of you out there, oh my God, you hate the Cowboys. I get it. You're tired of hearing about the Cowboys. You don't want to talk about the Cowboys. You think Jerry Jones is the boogeyman. You think this, you think that. I will take an owner who will spend money and will do whatever it takes to win any day. Has it resulted in a Super Bowl in the last 30 years? Absolutely not. But I will take an owner that is aggressive about winning over owners who are constantly trying to use a calculator to talk to you. Good business decisions have to be made, but let's be clear. You guys act like the Cowboys don't draft well. They draft well. They develop well. They spend money when they need to spend money. Sure, they may be a headline like dragging it out to pay Zeke. I didn't think it was smart to pay Zeke. He ultimately paid Zeke. Sure, they drug it out with Dak Prescott. I don't think he wanted to pay Dak Prescott, but he paid Dak Prescott. He pays these guys. He drafts well. The Dallas Cowboys draft well. They develop well. They pay their guys. They sign free agents. Obviously, Jerry Jones does meddle and get in the way, but again, there's not a perfect owner out there. Let's just be clear. So if you don't want CJ Stroud to go to Dallas because of Jerry Jones, I don't know what to tell you, because the alternative is to be Justin Fields out somewhere with a bad organization. If you think Justin Fields would be better off with the Jets had he been drafted by the Jets. Sure. Still a bad organization. I'll take the Cowboys organization over the Jets organization any day. Yeah, but they have more weapons out there. I don't trust the Jets organization. I trust Dallas more than I trust the Jets. I trust Dallas more than I trust Chicago. I trust Dallas more than I trust the Colts. I trust Dallas a hell of a lot more than I trust the Houston Texans. And that's exactly who the Cowboys would have to go knock on the door to potentially entertain this idea. CJ Stroud to the Dallas Cowboys. If the Dallas Cowboys knocked on the door, I heard Nick Wright talk about this earlier today, made a lot of really good points. I mean, why would Houston say no? They have a ton of draft picks. They have plenty of cap space. The Houston Texans can win now. The Texans can win right now. You get Dak Prescott. Does it make them Super Bowl contenders? No, but it makes Houston very, very good right away. It gives them a very, very good quarterback. They have a ton of cap space. They have a ton of draft picks. They'd be young. So although they have a very expensive quarterback, they're going to have a ton of young talent around them, and they're still going to have plenty of cap space to put some weapons around and go for it right away. I don't know about you, but as a Buckeye fan, do I want Dak Prescott or do I want CJ Stroud to go to the Houston Texans where they're a complete disaster and I have zero faith that they are going to make the right decisions to put talent around him? Or do you want CJ Stroud to go to Dallas where they'll then have the money? They'll have an owner that'll have money that has no problem spending it, and they'll give him an offensive line. They'll give him that run game. He'll have weapons galore, and my God, we know what's on that defensive side of the ball. Put your hatred for the Dallas Cowboys aside for just one moment and realize that if you actually want what's best for CJ Stroud, the Dallas Cowboys trading up to get CJ Stroud is not the worst idea in the world. In fact, it might be the best thing that could ever happen to a Buckeye quarterback entering the NFL draft. All right, I am curious. I haven't checked the comments section because I am curious kind of where people are going to go with this. But I don't think this is a terrible idea. But it is what it is at this point. But CJ Stroud to the Dallas Cowboys, I think works. I think would work right away. I think CJ Stroud would be a star right away. Not a lot of rookies get to come into the league and have an offensive line and have wide receivers, have a run game, have defense. CJ Stroud, you're not going to have that in Houston. Justin Fields didn't have it with the Bears. No offensive line, no run game, no wide receivers, no defense. They gave everything away. So when you get drafted that high, you're usually going to a situation where you are going to be given nothing, or you're going to be giving a lot of unproven somethings that could still stunt your growth as a quarterback. And right now there's a lot of things working against Buckeye quarterbacks. The last thing they need is a lot of unproven guys around them. Go to Dallas, be surrounded by proven Pro Bowl caliber players, and hit the ground running. CJ Stroud, Dallas Cowboys, I'm all for it. Keith Byers, on the other hand, maybe not so much. Maybe he wouldn't want to be a part of that, but nonetheless. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments and pick up with your reaction on the other side. But I thought the CJ Stroud conversation was pretty interesting throughout the day. I think it would make sense. If the Cowboys did it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not. Todd McShay in his mock draft, his latest mock draft, he does have the Colts trading up to number 1 with the Bears to get that number 1 overall pick to select, of course, Bryce Young from Alabama. CJ Stroud going to the Houston Texans is who Todd McShay, that's who he has CJ Stroud going to. Will Anderson going to the Arizona Cardinals at 3. The Bears, of course, and that trade with the Colts, they end up getting Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. I like that. So you continue to go down this list. Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky, he has going to the Raiders. The Atlanta Falcons getting the offensive tackle from Northwestern, although the Falcons could be in on Lamar Jackson if they decide to move on. But just trying to keep an eye. Anthony Richardson, he has going number 9 to the Carolina Panthers. CBS Sports released a mock draft today. Has Anthony Richardson being the first quarterback taken off the board. He is that magical quarterback that's climbing up the ranks, that every year we do this. Every year we highlight a couple quarterbacks at the beginning of the college football season that say they are going to be the highlight of the draft, and then there's a guy that comes swooping in from behind. Every year it happens. It doesn't always mean that that's the number 1 pick taken off the board, but the guys that we're talking about in January and February usually aren't the same guys we're talking about as we get deeper into March and heading into April, closer to the draft. But keep an eye on Anthony Richardson, that's for sure. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Wind advisory in effect until 1 a.m. It'll be breezy with showers and 56 tonight. Mostly sunny, breezy, 72 tomorrow. Sunshine, but only 39 on Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Dell Technologies President's Day business event starts now with deals to power America's doers and dreamers. Save on select performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for President's Day deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Welcome to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Hi, do y'all have chicken wraps?
For years, Ben's craving for KFC wraps went unfulfilled. But now, KFC wraps are here. Juicy original recipe chicken, mayo, and crunchy pickles all wrapped in a soft tortilla. Getting 2 for $5 might be more than Ben can handle.
Sure. You want classic or with spicy slaw?
There's one with spicy slaw.
Grab 2 KFC wraps for just $5. That's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Tax extra.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Can't beat that.
ZQuil Pure Z's Gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher / customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting. We are excited to announce we are open and here to help with your tax preparation needs. We offer multiple options, both convenient and safe. You can drop off your tax return, upload it to our secure website, or call for an appointment. We have 5 locations in the Miami Valley and 1 in Columbus to serve you. No matter the situation, we're confident we can do the job right. Visit Laird'sTax.com or call 937-325-6571. Laird's Tax and Accounting, here for you to ensure continued confidence in your tax return.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. For over 60 years, Menards has been the one-stop shop for post-frame buildings. Whether it's protecting equipment, livestock, or you just need a place to keep your toys, Menards has a post-frame building for you. Design and buy your new post-frame today for 11% off. There's no limit to what you can save. Good through February 26th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey, his visit presented by Milano's coming up here 45 minutes from now, 5 o'clock. We'll chat with him. The Dayton Flyers on the road tonight at UMASS. UMass 14-13, 5-10 in A-10 play, and Dayton with just a few games remaining in the regular season. And right there in the thick of things at the top of the A-10, they desperately need this one. Dayton has had a habit all season. It's something I've been critical of, is just that, like, when they do beat a good team, it's like, well, okay, you're supposed to do that. That's not what has people like kind of on the edge of their seat or frustrated. It's that you've either let teams like UMass hang around or you lose to teams like that. So I don't anticipate. I think they're actually playing their best basketball of the season right now. I mean, this is the best time of year. I mean, if you're playing your best basketball at this time of year, that's a good thing. Have there been ups and downs all season? Yes. Have some of it been injury related? Yes. I'm not one to say that, oh, this season has been up and down completely because of injuries. You've had a lot of these guys back for quite some time. I mean, I don't like that when the team plays well, we say how great they are, but then when they start playing bad, well, injuries all season. Yeah, maybe at the beginning more so, but right now, the expectation is to be the best version of yourself heading into the A-10 tournament, which is coming up here around the corner, which is fascinating. So we'll get to that with Norm Grevey coming up around the corner. But they got a big one tonight, an 8.5-point favorite. I think Dayton will be fine, but they'll return home for their final 2 home games, or their final home game next week of the regular season at least. It'll be interesting to see what happens at Dayton trying to win that conference tournament, because that's really what this comes down to as far as that's concerned. But we welcome you back again. Justin Kinner with you here. 1410 ESPN Radio. All right, let's dive into this. So, keeping an eye on this, we'll get into this more in just a moment with the key free agents, as far as like every day ESPN Plus puts out something, the best landing spots for these respective teams. And of course, we always see these big name free agents, and we see that our teams have a ton of cap space. The Bengals have a ton of cap space. The Browns right now, all anyone keeps talking about is the fact that you have that 55 or that $50+ million cap hit of Deshaun Watson's contract. It's the biggest contract hit in the NFL history and yada yada. That's going to be restructured, and then that's going to open up about 20 to 30 mil against the cap. And then the Browns are going to be restructuring some other contract. Like the Browns are going to have a ton of cap space that they're going to be working with as well. So this offseason is going to be fun. So when I see these lists, when I say fun, I mean fun for Bengals fans, Browns fans alike, as both teams are there. Both teams are loading up. Browns-Bengals is a true rivalry again. Browns-Bengals, they know that the path to win the AFC North is through one another heading into this season. And they could cross paths in the playoffs. You guys can mock the Browns all you want, but let's not act like all the outside noise wasn't an issue last year. I think the Browns are going to be just fine. They've already restructured their entire coaching staff, and I think they're going to revamp a lot of holes on this roster, a roster that's already pretty talented to begin with. But of course, it has to be done on the field. I think we're over the off-season championships or whatever it is that you guys accuse the Browns of, nonetheless. But so anytime these lists come out of the best fit for these free agents, I can't tell you how many times I see this on social media. When I see, oh, so-and-so just got cut or so-and-so is now made available to be signed, you'll see the fan bases, oh, man, get on this. We need this guy. We need this guy. And then we just sit back and wait. It's going to be fun. I still think we're 20 days away from NFL free agency beginning. So this is going to be a roller coaster period coming up right now. We're, have quite some time before we get to that point. It's always the free agency, then bam, right into the draft. And then it's the reaction to the draft. And then it's the calm before the storm. And then preseason gets here. And then it's just a wild ride. And then we're right back into it. I hate the NFL offseason, but I do love the NFL offseason for all these conversations right now. But as I'm going through this list, there's a lot of they rank the available free agents. Okay. And then they talk about their best fit. And the Browns and Bengals don't come up on this list. Well, the Browns do, I think, for one, that's an interesting name that Bengals fans you'll find interesting as well. But the Bengals don't pop up for a lot of these names. And I don't understand why. And this isn't a stirring the pot conversation. I'm not anti-Bengals in this conversation. Like, I'm looking at some of these names and I'm like, why aren't they a good fit? I still think the reputation of the Bengals and their front office still comes into play here. The Bengals, I have no criticism of at this point because, my goodness, the thing that I find fascinating about them is you have these top free agent names that are out there, right? The Bengals have never gone aggressive. They've never aggressively gone after any of the top names in free agency. 2 years ago, even myself, Joe Tooney, big fan of Joe Tooney, I was like, man, I would love if he goes to the Bengals. I would love if the Cincinnati Bengals took Joe Tooney. Never even tried. Never even tried. I shouldn't say they didn't try. They dangled a lowball offer knowing that they weren't going to match what the Chiefs and other teams were willing to pay him. That's what I mean by they didn't try. Like, they didn't try. Like, they threw out an offer knowing that it wasn't going to come close. They didn't even try. But here's the deal. We're not talking O-line necessarily. I'm just bringing up Joe Tooney, but Orlando Brown and some other names that they could have gone after. They chose not to. Not that the Ravens were willing to trade Orlando Brown within the division, but you see my point. The Bengals have done a pretty good job of going after the mid-tier guys. I mean, they built one of the top defenses in the NFL after going after guys like Hendrickson and Mike Hilton. And obviously, they already had Jesse Bates, but Eli Apple. And Eli Apple's nothing to brag about. But, I mean, let's be clear. There's a lot of boneheaded plays and moments throughout Eli Apple's run in Cincinnati, but there's a lot of crucial moments that the Bengals maybe don't win some of those key games if it's not for Eli Apple's play in situational play. Very weird figure. Eli Apple might be one of the more fascinating players in the NFL because I've never seen a guy with so much range as far as a guy that can hurt your team, but a guy that can dramatically help your team at the same time. Most players are either really, really good or you're really, really bad, and there's no in between. Eli Apple challenges that theory nonetheless. But going down this list, Lamar Jackson is the number one free agent. It says the best fit is the Baltimore Ravens. I am so over the Lamar Jackson storyline. I am so sick and tired of an organization that has offered to make him the third highest paid quarterback in the league, being the bad guy. I am tired of the organization that built an entire offense around poor little Lamar Jackson being the villain in this entire situation. I am tired of hearing about the Baltimore Ravens, who, since drafting Lamar Jackson, they have drafted an offensive player in the first and second round every year since drafting him. Running backs, offensive linemen, wide receivers, and it's never enough. I'm not saying that they've nailed those draft picks. They haven't killed it with the draft picks by any means. They could have done a better job in free agency, but Hollywood Brown, the one good wide receiver that they did have, he forced his way out of Baltimore. He wanted out of Baltimore. I just want this to hurry up and get done. Whether Lamar ends up with the Jets, whether Lamar ends up out of the AFC North, or the Baltimore Ravens sign him, people think that Browns fans and Bengals fans, can we unite on this real quick? Although Lamar Jackson can be a scary quarterback who has beat the Bengals and the Browns a lot throughout his run in Baltimore, don't get us wrong, there is not one Bengals fan out there or one Browns fan out there that is afraid of Lamar Jackson getting paid to stay in Baltimore. Because I think myself, as a Browns fan, a lot of my friends that are Browns fans, you Bengals fans tuning in now, I think we can all agree that we don't fear the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, because if the Baltimore Ravens couldn't maximize their time with Lamar on a rookie contract, once he gets paid that 50+ mil a year, what makes you think they're going to find a way to all of a sudden magically get him weapons then? They will get worse. They will take a step back. The Chiefs took a step back and won a Super Bowl because of how great Patrick Mahomes is. I really want to see what happens when the Ravens have to take a step back from what they already are with Lamar Jackson. I love when we talk about Lamar Jackson, how great he is and how many wins he has, and all Baltimore does is win with Lamar Jackson. But then when there's shortcomings, it's because he doesn't have enough help. But man, he's great because of all the winning, but the shortcomings are because he doesn't have enough help. He has just enough help to win a lot of games, but not enough help to, do what he's expected to do to be an elite level quarterback. I'm not anti-Lamar Jackson. I'm just tired of all the talk of Lamar Jackson. Just pay him already so we can move on. Nonetheless, he's the number one free agent, the best fit, according to ESPN Plus, has him with the Baltimore Ravens. Matt Bowen again, ESPN staff writer, has him there. I agree. Orlando Brown, they have ranked as the second available free agent. Best team fit, the Kansas City Chiefs. That's who he's with already. They'll exercise an option on him, I'm sure, and he'll remain there. How about Javon Hargrave? Again, Philadelphia Eagles, they were stacked with talent, 70 sacks on the season, 78 sacks total heading into Super Bowl 57. They finished the season with 78 sacks. Chiefs did a fantastic job against that dominant pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles, but they have Javon Hargrave as the best fit to the Seattle Seahawks. I still think Seattle is a team to keep an eye on. I think Seattle right now, if I had to get, depending on what some other teams do in the NFC, Seattle might be my sleeper Super Bowl team for next season out of the NFC, because they have Lockett, they have Walker, they have Metcalf, they have cap space, and there's a very good shot that they may not try to bring back their quarterback, that they may draft a rookie quarterback. They're going to put money on that offensive line. They're going to potentially go get a guy like Javon Hargrave. They already have very good weapons on that defensive side of the ball. Keep an eye on the Seattle Seahawks. That's a very good football team. And Pete Carroll, while a lot of people don't care for Pete Carroll, he earned my respect last year. I thought that was the best coaching job he's done throughout his time in the NFL. Because I always respect coaches who could do more with less. And he lost a lot. You lose Russell Wilson, you lose your franchise quarterback, you lose, in the eyes of some, not me, but an elite level quarterback, and you somehow get better in his absence. That's coaching. That's coaching. Javon Hargrave to the Seattle Seahawks, I think, is kind of interesting. How about Daron Payne, the defensive tackle, the Washington Commanders? There have been some interesting reports that have come across that the Washington Commanders, they're getting to that point now where they have to decide what they want to do with Chase. And obviously, I think they're going to keep him. But that's a name, too, that if the Commanders are closer to being a rebuilding team than they are anything else, if they're going to hit reset, they're going to have some pieces that could dangle out to get more draft picks. Keep an eye on Chase. That's going to be something nonetheless. But if you want to bring in Daron Payne, that just shows that they're zeroing in on that pass rush, and they have a shot to make some noise in that NFC East nonetheless. Geno Smith, they do have him staying with the Seattle Seahawks as far as the outlook for the 2023 season. I still think that there's a good chance that they may move on from Geno Smith, draft a rookie quarterback, and use those available funds after you have a quarterback on a rookie deal to patch a lot of holes and take advantage of the ton of draft picks that they got back with the Russell Wilson deal. Derek Carr to the New Orleans Saints. How about the New Orleans Saints and all the drama that we're coming across the course with Alvin Kamara? Alvin Kamara, I'll be surprised if he plays a down of football in 2023. Michael Thomas is a huge cap hit for the New Orleans Saints. Keep an eye on that situation there. I think that the Saints are in trouble as far as that's concerned, because that's a huge blow to that, to that payroll as far as that's concerned. Continuing to go down the list, Saquon Barkley. This list is kind of boring. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's no really hot takes on this list. Like, I like a little, a little excitement, if you will, but Metcalf has not been very creative with this list. Saquon Barkley to stay with the Giants. You have their quarterback in Daniel Jones asking for Patrick Mahomes' money, but you think you're going to be able to pay Saquon, who's also asking for a ton of money and a running back position that you don't need. You don't need an elite level running back to win in the National Football League. You just don't. The Browns don't need Nick Chubb. I know that sounds like an absolutely hot take. I love Nick Chubb. It's my favorite player on that Browns team. I love Nick Chubb. But when you want to talk about Super Bowl expectations, like there's not a lot of there's not a lot of Super Bowl teams that have an elite level running back as their catalyst. It's cherry on top. It's a luxury to have him, but my goodness, if the Browns moving forward are going to make it a priority to keep Nick Chubb over a premier defender or another weapon, of course, in the pass game, I will have an issue with that as a Browns fan. I don't think that's going to be the case. But the Giants prioritizing Saquon Barkley right now, I'm not sure if that's a position that you necessarily need to invest heavily in. Draft a running back and use that $15 million that you were going to invest into Saquon Barkley and go get weapons for Daniel Jones if that's the route that you're going to go. But they have Saquon Barkley staying with the Giants nonetheless. Continuing to go down the list, Daniel Jones staying with the Giants, of course. I don't think anyone doubted that. So here's the one on the list that caught my attention. The Cleveland Browns are the favorite, or at least the team that is considered to be the best landing spot for Cincinnati Bengals safety Jessie Bates. I don't know if that's what this is going to lead to. I don't know how I necessarily feel about it, but the Cleveland Browns, obviously, with the new scheme under Jim Schwartz, this would be a great scheme for Jessie Bates. But in the article write-up, it talks about how the Browns are going to need to do some work with the cap, which we all know that's going to happen. But Bates upgrades the Cleveland Browns defense that needs better play and more ball production at the safety position. Say that again. I think that would be an immediate upgrade. Bates has the post and split field range to cover some grass, along with the scheme versatility to play from depth or spin down in coverage. He logged 4 interceptions and 8 pass breakups last year in Cincinnati, and he has posted 14 career interceptions over 5 pro seasons. Bates, who played on the franchise tag last season, is in line for a long-term deal. Could he get that long-term deal in Ohio? Well, maybe not an hour south from here, but he may stay in Ohio and end up with the Cleveland Browns. I wouldn't mind it. I would not mind that at all. The Browns need to go heavy this offseason on that defensive side of the ball, and it would not surprise me to see them end up with, obviously, Jessie Bates. Another key name on this list that I came across, Dalton Schultz. Fantastic job, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans say that they would love to see the Bengals go after Schultz, the Cowboys tight end. For one, I'm not really sure what the Bengals tight end situation is right now. What is the plans, what Hurts and some of the other guys that they're wanting to roll out there. Schultz would be an upgrade. We saw what kind of safety blanket he was for a Dak Prescott. He wouldn't be a safety blanket for Joe Burrow. He would be a weapon that would be maximized by Joe Burrow. So that is something to keep in mind. They have him ending up with the Chargers, though. For one, whether you're playing with Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, 2 elite quarterbacks. I like Justin Herbert's skill set better. It's not anything against Burrow. I've just always preferred Justin Herbert from the very beginning, even before Joe Burrow became a Bengal. So I like Justin Herbert, but also the fact that, of course, you have the offensive, Moore, the offensive coordinator from the Dallas Cowboys, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. It just makes a lot of sense. Schultz thrived in the scheme under Moore in Dallas. Imagine what he could do with an elite level quarterback in Justin Herbert. Look for that landing spot for Schultz as far as that's concerned. James Bradbury, all right, the guy that's most known for the holding penalty in the Super Bowl. They have him ending up with the Arizona Cardinals. Continuing to go down this list. No one on this list that I'm coming across is falling in line, of course, with the Cincinnati Bengals. It is interesting. I think the Bengals are hard to figure out because they are a team that is willing to spend money. They are a team that has a ton of cap space, but they are not a team, and I think this shows in the pattern of this list, they are not a team that is aggressive in going after the top level names. So I think the one reason that you are not seeing the Bengals pop up on this list of top 50 free agents in their top landing spots, the reason the Bengals are not popping up on any of these is because they're not really known to go after these level of names. I am curious, Bengals fans, do you agree with that? Does that make sense? Like, this isn't a bash the Bengals segment, so relax. But why else would the Bengals just not pop up here? By the way, Odell Beckham Jr. pops up. He's favored to land in Dallas. That's the best landing spot for him. They do think Juju Smith-Schuster ends up staying with Kansas City. So keep that in mind. But yeah, continuing to go down this list. We're talking about, there's no one is popping up on the Cincinnati Bengals. Nobody. And I'm not 100% sure why. 518-1410, 518-1410. ESPN just released a list of top 50 available free agents heading into the offseason. And not one of these guys has ended up on the Jermaine Pratt. They have the Bengals keeping Jermaine Pratt. So that doesn't really count as going out and landing a free agent, if you will. But you guys see my point. So Jermaine Pratt came in at number 50 on this list. So while you guys dissect a little bit of that conversation, I'm not trying to have a trolling conversation with you guys, so just relax. The Bengals have done a good job of putting together one of the top defenses in the league without going after these top free agents, okay? And that includes both sides of the ball. But Tony Pollard, you know, the Bengals are going to have cap space. I'm not a big Mixon fan at this point. I mean, do you go after Tony Pollard? Do you try to get a strong run game in there? Or are you confident in Mixon's ability heading into next season? Is there anyone on the offensive side of the ball that you would love to see the Bengals pursue this upcoming offseason? Or are those just holes you can address in the draft? You guys keep bragging about all this cap space and all this available money. What the hell are you going to do with it? NFL experts out there don't believe that the Bengals are in line to get any of these top-name free agents. 50. The top 50 free agents. And the Bengals aren't in line to get any of these guys, or at least favorited to land any of them. Not saying that they won't, but I'm curious your thoughts. 518-1410. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Want to make tonight's dinner a perfect 10? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped premium tenderloins, 3 dipping sauces, 2 of our irresistible large sides, and 5 fluffy biscuits, it's family time made from scratch. Take home a top-notch dinner the whole family will love from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom. Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
Coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never really thought about tools until I bought a house in the suburbs. It's like this weird homeowner test if I need a tool for a project and don't have it. And my neighbor Ted loves to give me that look when I ask to borrow a pole saw. A year ago, I didn't even know pole saws existed. And now I gotta borrow one from Ted? What is happening?
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Get 50% off tax prep at Jackson Hewitt. 50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. It's tax season, and if you haven't done so already, I highly suggest that you call my friend Michael Maxwell at Arrowhead Tax Service over in New Carlisle. Now, you hear New Carlisle, and you're like, well, that's a little bit out of my range. Well, don't worry. My favorite thing about Arrowhead Tax Service and Michael Maxwell is that, well, they take advantage, of course, of that Taxes to Go app, which you could send all of your information to him without even having to go in. How cool is that? Michael Maxwell, awesome dude, been doing this for many, many years. He'll take care of you the way he takes care of my taxes, Kev Nash's taxes, Keith Byers. He takes care of all of us here at WING, and I promise you he will do the same thing for our listeners. We've had quite a few people who have already reached out to us complimenting, Michael Maxwell and saying how much they appreciate him taking care of them, of course, and it was a simple and smooth process. Nonetheless, take advantage of the Taxes to Go app, which, of course, you could send all the information to him without actually having to go in. He's a locally owned business, and he loves to remind everyone that he loves to take the stress out of tax season. If you are military, a veteran, or a first responder, make sure you let him know that. You get 25% off. You can call for a free estimate to find out just how much it's going to cost you, of course. But tax preparation, accounting, payroll, whatever it is, he's going to be able to help you out. So give Michael Maxwell with Arrowhead Tax Service a call today, 937-543-5770, 937-543-5770. That's Michael Maxwell with Arrowhead Tax Service. Get your taxes filed today. I'm a hypocrite. I'm telling y'all to get your taxes filed, and I haven't even done it yet. I don't know about you. I mean, every time I go, I always owe more and more. I don't understand how I owe. I used to get a ton back. Every time I go, I owe. Everyone's like, how come you haven't gone to get your taxes yet? Because I'm not in no hurry to go find out how much I owe. I'm clearly doing something wrong. I'm joking. Being an independent contractor definitely does have its downside to a lot of things. Not so much as far as that, but Michael's the man. I highly recommend him. So please give him a call today. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service, 543-5770. All right, so ESPN, picking up with this to get into your calls here in a second, reacting to a list of top 20 or top 50 free agents heading into the offseason, and then it had the most likely and best fit for these free agents, okay? And only one Cincinnati Bengals showed up on this list. And, of course, it was the very last one on the list as far as the ranking, and that was Jermaine Pratt. Here's the deal. I really like Jermaine Pratt. Cincinnati should make him a priority. I believe that they will. He will stay in Cincinnati. I think they're going to take care of him, of course. I think that's the one thing, not being – my big thing is the Jesse Bates thing, and Jesse Bates, what's a long-term deal, I guess? I'm sure that there was at least maybe conversations of potentially trying to keep Jesse Bates with the Bengals for maybe one more mini run, if you will, because, again, the Bengals, yes, they're going to get that contract with Joe Burrow done, but they'll reconfigure that contract and they'll restructure it, and it really won't kick in until a few years later. So they're going to have some flexibility coming up. I do find it interesting that they did not prioritize Bates, but they've already figured that out with Dax Hill and some of the other guys that they've gotten in the draft and will continue to draft, and they've been very good at evaluating talent at draft time this time of year. So we'll see what happens. If the Bengals can keep hitting in the draft, the free agent thing doesn't become as important. But for whatever reason, and again, this is just the nature of the show, I can't talk Bengals without having to, people get all up in their feelings. But I will say that, so Ryan Holzapfel said that, do you understand, this is a message into the show, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. I highly suggest you follow the show page. Go in there, check it out now. Ryan Holzapfel in the comment section. Do you understand where the Bengals are right now? Oh, geez. I always love being preached too. You don't always have to go after the top tier free agents to build a winning roster like the Bengals have done. Lots of examples of teams that do that and don't win at the level that the Bengals have the last 2 years. Well, but that's the thing. Maybe if you went after two more big name free agents in the offseason, you beat a one-legged Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. Maybe if you go after one or two more free agents in the offseason, you do beat the Rams in a one-possession loss in Super Bowl 56. I know what you're saying, but the fact that you've come up short both losses to your final two games of the season, the last 2 years have ended in one-possession losses. So you mean to tell me that one more free agent, a slightly better option in free agency at certain positions, you mean to tell me that wouldn't help? I know what you're trying to say, But let's be clear here. You can't act. I mean, now had the Bengals won the Super Bowl the last couple of years, or at least have won the Super Bowl in one of the last 2 years, I'd be with you. I'd say, hey, look, they didn't have to go after the home run guy to get it. But Kansas City Chiefs, that's a team that goes for the home run guys. They went for the home run guys on the offensive line. They won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens. You have to go for the home run guys. You have to go. I mean, they lost Tyreek Hill, but they went after the important pieces. They knew what was up. They invested in the best offensive lineman in football. And that's why a team that had 78 sacks all season long didn't touch their quarterback once. So, yes, you could brag about the fact that we found ways to win without going to get the best talent in the league. And you're bragging about that because why? You don't have anything to show for it. I mean, if the bare minimum is you being happy with, of course, the AFC North championships and getting the AFC title game back-to-back seasons, that's fine. But the Chiefs went big. They have 2 Super Bowls to show for it. The Rams went big, and they went big. They have a Super Bowl to show for it. Like every team that goes big in the offseason, I mean, they get rewarded for it. You have to go. You have to be aggressive in free agency. Now, Hendrickson, that's the one, that guy, I was wrong completely. Hendrickson was a ginormous get for the Bengals 2 years ago. That was a humongous get. Okay, but that was what was the last big name that they got that was just a difference maker? And I don't mean in the draft. I mean free agency. Don't brag about the fact that they don't go after big names in free agency, all while they come up short in the AFC Championship game this past season by 1 possession against a one-legged Patrick Mahomes, and also losing to the Rams last year in the Super Bowl. That's all I'm trying to. I know what you're saying, and you're not necessarily wrong, but you do have to be aggressive. You can't sit there and just say, well, we're content with our rookie draft pieces and the mid-level guys that we go through in free agency. Well, maybe if you were aggressive just a little more, you're in the Super Bowl for the 2nd straight season. You at least have 1 Super Bowl in the last 2 years, or maybe, just maybe, back-to-back Super Bowls. I don't know. Let's go to Matt. Matt, thanks for holding, sir. Welcome.
Hey, I was hearing you talk about Eli Apple, and I think if you were a fan of any team and you've seen them every Sunday, I think every team has got maybe a player that's kind of like that, right? But I'm with you. Situationally, he's made some big plays. Like, they don't go to the Super Bowl if he doesn't make that tackle against Tyreek Hill, Yeah,
he's frustrated. I think he's that guy that you love him if he's on your team and you hate him if he's not. But I think some Bengals fans were like, I like Eli, but I kind of hate him at the same time. He's a very polarizing dude. Like, he'll get picked up in the offseason. He's an interesting cat, that's for sure.
I don't see him make a lot of mistakes in the 4th quarter. He got that interception in one of the playoff games 2 years ago, too. I mean, he was a big part of that Super Bowl run. But is he under contract for next season, or?
No, where did he pop up in that free agency list? He's on this list of landing spots. I just didn't circle where they ended up having him go. Nonetheless, I'll find it at some point. It's just a long list. I don't have time to kind of scroll through, but
I mean,
he's not a shutdown corner. No team is an Eli Apple away from being a Super Bowl team. But if you already have a solid defense, I think he adds to that depth. We'll see what happens, but nonetheless.
Well, that's what worries me about the Bengals. If you got Jesse Bates leaving, you got Eli Apple leaving. I'm not sure if Von Bell is a free agent. But that's a lot of secondary pieces on a team that's
Von Bell
went far in the playoffs.
Von Bell is a free agent, yes. So they'll have a decision to make.
You got to keep Bell, right?
So that's the thing too. Like, I don't understand why the Bengals are in this situation while we're hearing about the fact that they might lose Jermaine Pratt, they might lose Von Bell. They're not even going to try and keep Jesse Bates. But yet you're bragging about having this 40+ million in cap space available. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You will never be in a position to keep all these guys together again, because you're about to pay your top 3 playmakers, which is Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Once you do that, then I understand why you have to move on from these guys. But now's the time to at least try. That's the part that I'm concerned about. But at the same time, to the Bengals' credit, they've been kicking ass in the draft. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they feel confident that they can replace that production with rookies. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it always makes me kind of nervous. You can do well in the draft, but usually free agents are pretty safe. Especially some of those top tier ones. I mean, they don't fall off the earth a lot, But yeah, with the Bengals having so much, it seems like a lot on the defensive side. I know the offensive side of that for the Bengals is coming in the next year or so, but the defensive side, that scares me. I had one other question for you, man. You guys were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. That's Bieniemy, right?
Yep, Eric Bieniemy. We're now with the Commanders.
Oh, he is with the Commanders.
Yep, he's officially left. He officially took over as the OC of the Commanders. Yep.
So my question with that is, I hear all the talk, right, of the snub and not getting the jobs, but I don't ever hear if he was actually has he had interviews and he doesn't get hired. I'm just curious about that situation because I only hear that he doesn't get the job.
So I don't have the number in front of me as far as how many total interviews that he has had, but we've had multiple Chiefs reporters on. Jason Fitz with ESPN Radio when he was doing his weekly hit with us during the football season. We've asked him what he's hearing, and it's a lot of the fact that he's just not a good interviewer. He rubs people the wrong way. I heard
that I heard that with Jason Fitz, but I've never heard any confirmation that the Texans or whoever it may be. I've never heard anything affirmative that he even had an interview, which just makes me wonder, because you hear the story of, he's not personable. He doesn't interview well, but you never hear about him actually having an interview. That's
no, I think he's getting the interviews. My only thing I get annoyed with this story is people, what drives me nuts is people keep saying, well, I don't get why he doesn't have a job. But then people come out and tell you what they're hearing as to why he doesn't have a job, and they're ignoring those reasons. And that's why I get annoyed. The reasons are that he doesn't have a job, according to reports, are that he doesn't interview well. He's not a very, sociable person. He doesn't connect well with people. If that's what people are saying as to why he's not getting a job, that's your reason. Why do people keep turning around and say, well, I don't get why he hasn't been hired? That they just told you. Just because you don't like the reason why doesn't mean that you have to keep, not you yourself. You just got me on a hot button issue, Alyssa. But it's such a weird storyline. They spent an hour on Eric Bieniemy this morning. I'm like, my gosh, we got to give that a rest. Like at the end of the day, like these football teams, they want to hire people that are going to come in and help them win football games. And I'm definitely not saying that Bieniemy can't help you win football games. I mean, my God, he's been the offensive coordinator of this Chiefs dynasty that's been going over the last 5 years. But there's reasons why people aren't hiring him. And it's like, just because we don't like the reasons doesn't mean that they're the wrong reasons. If he doesn't interview well, he doesn't interview well. If I don't interview well for other jobs, I'm not getting that job either. So we'll see.
Yeah. What's weird to me, though, is with that, right? Like, there's been a lot of coaches out there that are, jerks, I guess, right? But I know he's got Patrick Mahomes, but his track record, isn't that what sells you, right? Oh, yeah, this guy's a jerk. He's not really great to talk to. But, man, when he's coaching, he's in the AFC Championship game, 4 or 5 years in a row or whatever it is. It seems like that would outweigh, some personality traits in my mind. I mean, I've never heard anything out of Kansas City saying, this guy, we're going to have to let him go because we just don't get along with him, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that just, the whole story just, it seems like there's some misinformation there, and I have trouble getting to the bottom of it. Maybe I'm just not researching hard enough.
No, you're good. I think there's a lot of question marks, but hey, we're almost running out of time. We have a guest coming up here in a few, so I got to put a bow on this part of the show, but hey, it's always great hearing from you, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, man.
Take care. 518-1410. We did get a call from Greg during the break. He didn't have time to jump on the air with us, but Greg wanted me to answer this on the air. He said, very similar to what Ryan Holzapfel said about the fact that, you don't have to go after the big name free agents out there. And by the way, I'm not saying that you necessarily have to, but what he had said is he goes, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that their approach is to also not to go after the biggest names in free agency either. Now, Greg, very nice dude, so I'm not going to argue with him, but at the same time, I'm like, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's not really an organization I'm trying to follow right now. I mean, that's a team, that's an organization that is known that is known for what it's done in the past, but they're not really known for doing anything recently. I mean, the biggest headline for the Pittsburgh Steelers is Mike Tomlin. However, he's never had a losing season. It's become more of a Mike Tomlin team than the Pittsburgh Steelers team. It's all about Mike Tomlin's, how many seasons in a row without a losing record, but yet we're not going to highlight the fact that it's been how long since he's won a playoff game. I highly doubt that the expectations in Pittsburgh is, well, just keep having records above 500 and by golly, that's the Steeler way. I don't know about that. But Greg, you are right. And Ryan Holzapfel, you are right. We all agree to a certain extent here. But my point is that a lot of times that teams that don't go after the top end free agents is because they don't have enough money to do so. The Bengals do, and they're choosing not to. You have $40 million in cap space. ESPN releases this ranking of the top 50 free agents and their potential landing destinations, and the Bengals aren't a part of any of them. except for the one that they already have in Jermaine Pratt. So that doesn't necessarily count, in my opinion. Like the Bengals, and to Ryan's point, they didn't have to go after the big names, but maybe if they go after the big name, they're not coming up a place short in Super Bowl 56. Maybe if they go after the big name, they're not coming up short against a one-legged Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. So I see what you're saying. They don't have to go after the big name free agents, but at the same time, don't be crying. A year from now, AFC Championship, Super Bowl, divisional round, wild card, whatever, when they come up that short again, maybe they should have gone after a slightly bigger name in free agency. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Ryan Holzapple did message back in. Have you ever considered continuity, keeping your key pieces and building your team with contracts for those players instead? What? Like continuity, yeah, that's fantastic. That's super. That's one way to go, but let's not act like we haven't seen teams just throw a roster together and go. The Chiefs redid their entire roster last offseason. They just won a Super Bowl. There was no continuity with the Chiefs. The Chiefs had to revamp their offense and their weapons within the offense. They lost their number one playmaker in Tyreek Hill. They won a Super Bowl. No, that you want to talk about a disruption of continuity, losing Tyreek Hill? I'd say continuity worked against the Chiefs, and yet they still won a Super Bowl. Let's talk about the Rams. The Rams 2 years ago, a bad football team. They weren't in the playoffs. They go and get Matthew Stafford. They go and get Von Miller. They go and they add all these new pieces to that roster. They win a Super Bowl. There's no continuity there. So I know what you're saying, but at the same time, the only thing consistent about the Bengals is that they've come up this short. That's all. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey, he's going to hang out with us. The Dayton Flyers on the road tonight at UMass. Only a couple more games remaining in the regular season. I can't believe we're finally winding down the regular season. Conference tournament coming up around the corner. If you are a Flyer fan who has felt kind of defeated over the last couple of weeks and months because of the at-large hopes being tossed out the window, now's the time you can come back out of hiding. Now's the time you can come back and get excited, because this is the time of the season that matters most. Now, you're probably saying, well, a win over UMass doesn't matter. A win next week doesn't matter. Winning the regular season title matters. But winning and taking momentum into the postseason matters. Winning and taking momentum into the A-10 tournament, that's huge. And that's what's on the line tonight. You could talk about it just being UMass. And, oh, man, Dayton they're an 8.5-point favorite. They should take care of business against UMass. I'm here to tell you, this is a huge game. You forget who the opponent is. This is just about Dayton trying to keep that momentum going. Can they do it tonight against UMass? We're going to talk about that. Former Flyer Norm Grevey, he joins us live in studio. His visit brought to you by Milano's on Brown Street. We'll get to that with him next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
FanDuel Sportsbook is here to help you make every moment more for all of your favorite sports and all of your favorite teams. Right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up by going to FanDuel.com/Kinner. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. Right now is the best time of the year to bet for college basketball fans, especially right here in the Miami Valley. Use your no-sweat first bet on your Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, or the Ohio State Buckeyes. There's no better place to bet every major sport than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So go to FanDuel.com/Kinner, Kinner. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online, real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Is your tub worn out, but you're not sure who to trust to replace it? With over 2 million successful bath remodels, people trust Bathfitter because we know how to do it right. We've been custom designing and manufacturing baths for over 35 years. Our unique tub-over-tub installation takes as little as a day with no demo to fit your busy schedule. And we offer a lifetime warranty on every tub. That's how confident we are in our quality and durability. Bathfitter, it just fits. Visit bathfitter.com to book your free consultation.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. There has never been a better time to start a new career. If you are 18 years or older with a high school diploma or GED and enjoy working with your hands, consider the McAfee Apprenticeship Program, where you will learn everything you need through in-class and on-the-job training. Apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
I'm Faith Daniels, and we have the pleasure to chat with Blake Maislin, Mr. 444-4444. When accidents happen, who do we call?
Well, you call me. You call 444-4444, and you let us get started immediately.
That means a dog bite, a slip and fall, a car accident. Blake Maislin is the call to make.
That's exactly right. We'll come to your house. We'll go to the hospital room. But whatever we can do to help, that's exactly what we do starting on day one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Blake Maislin, 444-4444, wantmore.com.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe,
done.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
It looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab you a trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Thank God Norm Grevey is here, so we don't have to hear Kinner talk as much. I'm just guessing what people are saying coming into this segment.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Welcome in, Norm Grevey, former Flyer, on game day. How about that?
I love it.
And it's starting to feel like the madness is around the corner. I mean, the
It
sun's been out
is.
longer. Anytime you
Golf
start feeling,
weather.
yes, I was going to say, anytime you're conflicted on whether we should be out golfing or doing the show.
It's March
inside.
Madness
Yeah,
time.
it's March Madness time. Yeah, it's a conflicting time. But nonetheless, how have you been? How was your week?
Great. Thank you. Everything's good.
Well, that's a good thing, and things are going well right now for the Flyers, so it's pretty exciting as well.
Slept well the last couple of weeks.
I was going to say, like I said, we joke about this every single week, but you're not the same Norm from about a month ago.
I was down a few months or a few while ago.
Yep, but that's where we're at right now. Dayton second in the A-10, 10-4 conference play, 18-9 overall, a game and a half behind VCU at this moment, and obviously they're going to be at Richmond tonight, or not Richmond, I'm sorry, at UMass tonight. So, it's another game, another opportunity to keep there at the top. I know a few more games remaining. What do they have after this, by the way? So you have UMass and then George Mason, LaSalle, and St. Louis.
Four
Three
games.
more. So, after tonight, 4 more, including tonight. Yeah.
Unbelievable how fast the season's gone, but you got to realize they started early November. It's been a long season.
See, I was just going to say that.
We've had injuries. We've had disruptions in the personnel. But the one constant, and I have to give credit when credit's due, is that Coach Grant, I think, done a great job of keeping the team together. There's been 2 or 3 times this year where this team could have blown up, and no sooner they arrived back in Dayton, back to the books, and they've come together as a group right now, and you can see the bond, you can see the enjoyment playing with each other, and credit to Tamani Kamara, who's doing a great job of leading, and then I think that's helped with Malachi coming back and playing and contributing, and so there's a lot. This is a different team than a month ago, and there's no question the expectations have been extremely high this year, and probably rightfully so, but right now they're starting to fulfill some of their dreams, and I think they can keep dreaming and keep winning, and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel now with 4 games left in the regular season.
So a lot of Flyer fans that we interact with on the show, you're saying that, it's been the season, can't believe there's only 4 games left. I feel like my perception is the vibe of Flyer fans right now is, no, this has been too long of a season. Because once the at-large thing got thrown out, it became about what's coming up here. Let's see, it starts Tuesday, March 7th through the 12th. That's really what it all became about at that point. It's like, so some Flyer fans are like, you know what, now that we're not playing for the at-large, now we just got to get through this regular season. And at least right now they're winning at a high level to where they're getting that excitement back as we head into the most crucial point. But they still have a chance to win this regular season. Like that, that's a big deal too.
It's a big deal. Winning the league title is something you prepare for all summer long. It's what you're thinking about in the weight room. And I think when the players have played, they know who's on the other. They know who's on the other teams. They know the other teams. The Flyer fans, and I think fans around the country, if you watch the Flyers right now, today, going into tonight's game at this minute, I think this is the best basketball they've played all year. And from an eye test, we talked about it last week, they just look better than all the teams in the A-10. They just look like the team. Does that mean they're going to win the league? No. Does that mean they're going to win the A-10 conference in Brooklyn? No, it doesn't. But from an eye test and from a talent standpoint, I really don't think anybody's close, Justin. I don't think anybody's close in the league. VCU is right there. They're a game and a half up. They still have a couple of challenging games coming ahead. We've almost solidified the 2 seed right now, and they're hunting down VCU, and they just got to take care of business. This UMass game, Coach Martin and Coach Grant have known each other for 40 years, and back in the high school days, and then Anthony in the Florida. They're both from Miami of Florida, at their roots. This is a game where they know each other very well, and I really do think Coach Martin, this isn't a year that it's been a tough year for him. Yep. They just lost to Loyola, who we beat. They just lost to Loyola at home. So I expect, this is a career game for those guys. Hey, if we can beat Dayton, we can knock them out of the league title. So they're going to be jacked up. Amherst is always pumped for the Flyers. This is going to be an interesting game, but it's it's a game that Dayton is playing very well. And I think with their size and rebounding, they've just been able to overpower teams in the last 3 weeks.
We have former Flyer Norm Grevey with us here in studio. His visit, of course, Milano's on Brown Street. They always take care of us by the way. Right now he said it's a lot of fish in there, a lot of fish sandwiches.
Well, it's Ash Wednesday.
Yes, exactly. A lot of fish sandwiches and a lot, so you're in the clear. I think everyone can eat whatever's in that bag. So we haven't dug in.
Better have tartar sauce.
We're about to dive in as soon as we get to this first commercial break coming up. But no, what's fascinating about everything that's coming up with this A-10 tournament right now, obviously it's focused on winning these final 4 games, and then the rest will take care of itself. The Loyola game over the week. So we saw them play Loyola a few weeks ago. So I put out this, in my creating my narrative of the team.
4 or 5 points, barely won an OT.
Yeah, so this is a team that plays down to their opponent. They play up to their opponent, which is great that they could play up to their opponent, but it makes you vulnerable. The one thing that they've kind of separated themselves over the last couple of weeks is that they're no longer playing down to the level of their opponent. That is one thing, people think I get locked in on my ways and that I'm not willing. No, I felt like at that time they were a team that was playing down to the level of their opponent. They needed overtime, and at home with the last place Loyola team, they needed overtime to close them out. That looked on, Friday night? That looked like the number 1 team in the conference going up against the last place team in the conference. Want to make sure I highlight that because people don't like because of how critical I could be at times. But at the same time, if you're going to be critical, at least acknowledge where you start to see that growth. Important to be playing your best basketball of the season right now. They're doing that. We're no longer seeing them play down to the level of their opponent. Hopefully that's not a thing that comes back. But tonight they should take care of business against UMass.
Well, the great thing is after the St. Louis win, they had a week off. And they got a week to prepare for Loyola at Loyola, which was packed house, crazy Chicago fans. That was a trap game if there ever was one. And they came out from the tip and dominated the game with Holmes and getting 20 and 10. And Tamani, had another great game. We struggled shooting the basketball that game. That was the one, I guess, negative. Kobe and both Kobe's struggled from outside, and I still think that 3-point shooting is going to make or break this team, even though we're the one consistent is Kamara and Holmes.
Yep.
Every game they show up and dominate the interior. The one inconsistency is the 3-point shooting. We're not bringing it every night from 3. And, we're not a 3-point shooting team. That's not our makeup. But we have to be able to consistently knock down shots. We've improved our percentage by 10%, over the last 4 weeks of the season. Kamara and Kobe Berea are both shooting like 42% in league play. And they've elevated their game in conference play, and it's great to see. And I really do think Kobe Berea has to step up after an off game, drain some threes. I'd like to see Elvis. I see him getting better every night, every week. I see him improving, getting more speed. He had 7 assists. He's struggling from 3 this year, but he's still dishing. He's driving, and he's giving him some length on defense. Sharon Jantz, doing his job right now. He's not trying to do too much. He's not in foul. Doesn't have to worry about getting in foul trouble. And then Malachi has been a big lift. Alleviating some of the stress at point guard. He's been able to hit some threes. He's getting some assists, and we're not overplaying him, minute-wise. So this is great right now. And defensively, Dayton's ranked in the top 25. They're a top 25 rebounding team. But I think tonight's key is that UMass is going to throw 10, 12 guys out there. They're just going to be subbing. They're going to be jacking threes. They rebound fairly well for a 500 team. So I think the keys tonight is the keys every game for them going down the stretch. Win the rebounding war, limit your turnovers, and knock some shots down from 3, and they'll get the W.
Yeah, you talked about the shooting percentage as a team combined. I mean, this last game alone, when you get a 20 and 10 double-double from obviously Deron Holmes, and then you get a 17-point performance from Tumani Kamara, they combined to go 15 and 19 from the floor. I mean,
they're shooting
that just those two alone,
60% and 55%, and it's going on every game. I guess you can say free throw shooting is iffy at 69%, but that's better than some of the Gregory years where we were, couldn't close out games. We haven't had to really make free throws down the stretch a lot this year. In our losses, other than VCU, we've had we were out of the game early. They never got close. They have to step up. Can't have a drawback like they did with GW. And I think if they can win this, they got 2 home games, and that'll give the arena fans, they haven't been home in a while. And I think that's going to be really key to have that home support their last 2 out of 3 games.
Yeah, especially as they set up what could be a game for the title in that last that last game of the regular season at St. Louis.
We talked earlier in the year when we first came on, we thought 4 games was going to be the number, and 4 losses. You got to go 14-4 to win this league this year. Last year, Dayton went 14-4, and I think they did not win the league. I think Davidson won the league. Richmond beat him in the conference in the semis, which was basically a play-in game. So this is, big. I think, a rivalry war with Coach Grant and Coach Martin. He's done great at South Carolina. It's
weird seeing Frank Martin, by the way.
It really is seeing Frank Martin at UMass, but I think it'll be a good fit for him. I think he has some ties in that area. And, again, Rhode Island has struggled with Archie. You got to give these guys time to let them build their team. They've had some injuries. Both guys have had injuries. The roster, they've had to bring in transfers. They lost transfers. But I do think they're going to be stalwarts in the A-10. I do.
Yeah, we talk about, we've over the last couple of weeks highlighted like how good the coaching is in the conference. You got, with Loyola's addition, you had Valentine into the mix. Obviously, you look at, with the program of St. Louis, and you look at Frank Martin coming in. I mean, obviously, Archie back in the A-10 over there. So the coaching is really good in the A-10, and the reason that that's a big deal for Dayton, so many Flyer fans are so obsessed with the idea of them going to a bigger conference. If that happens one day, great. But for right now, the A-10, your best hope is, rather than crapping on the conference you're in, you should hope that other programs start to get to the point where they're putting out the same expectation. Like Dayton came into this season with the expectation of being top 25, getting an at-large bid. There's not a lot of programs in the A-10 that have those same aspirations. There's very few that are capable of doing what Dayton is expecting to do every single year. But you bring in quality coaching, now you're getting a handful of those programs. That only helps Dayton when it's all said and done. The better the conference, the better it is. I'm not saying you need to be a cheerleader for the A-10.
Well,
but
this year was expected to have guaranteed at least 2 at-large teams. Plus, you had VCU. St. Louis was preseason ranked. Dayton was preseason ranked. VCU has actually played better than expected this year. Obviously, Fordham, with 21 wins, having a career season for that program. I don't think they've been to the tournament since 1991. And that's a long time. We played them in 90 when I was in college at the Garden.
Yep.
Right when they were turning around their program. But this is, that happens in certain years. You look at the ACC this year, which I would say is kind of down. I would not say the Big Ten's down, even though I think there's a lot of balance. I don't think, other than Purdue, there's not a great team. Maryland's playing about as well as anybody in that league right now, and who would have expected that after losing earlier in the year to UCLA bad at home and things like that. They've got a new coach. I think Michigan State's playing the way they played the other night looks great. But, certain leagues have times when, like the Pac-12 or 10, whatever it's called now, they struggled for a couple of years. I think Dayton's league is it's a great league for them. It's no doubt a great league for them. I know people like to see us get at-large bids, but I think the at-large days, I don't know. I don't trust at-large bids anymore. Last year they won 23 games and was the last team out, but beat 5 tournament teams and the national champion. And if we can't get in last year as an at-large, we may never get in as an at-large. I think the players just have to accept the NCAA is not going to take us. We won 5 big games against the ACC champion, the Big 12 champion, the A-10 champion. We beat Richmond at Richmond. But all they looked at was the 3 losses in the first week of November.
But that's the only reason. So that's why I bring up the importance of the A-10 is if there are more, and I agree with, by the way, I'm not saying the A-10's bad.
With you. If there was more big games in the league,
it gives you that margin, that your margin of error is not as,
I
So
agree 100%, but that's something Dayton can't control.
that's valid. Like, so the things you can control, well, you can't, like, don't lose to those teams early. But here's the problem when you're Dayton. You have to be a finished product early. If you're Ohio State and others, I shouldn't use Ohio State's a joke right now.
100%. We have
So,
to peak at
yeah.
November.
Yeah.
Do whatever you got for the next 60 days.
Like Michigan State, Illinois, if they came out and they stubbed their toe in non-conference, they lost to a bunch of good teams in non-conference, and then they flipped the switch in January and beat a bunch of top 25 teams in the Big Ten. Guess what? They're top 25. They're heading to the tournament. No question. Dayton has to be. They don't
have the margin for error.
So the Big Ten uses November, December to prepare to challenge themselves, to prepare themselves for Big Ten play. And that's what theoretically A10 is supposed to, or November, December is supposed to be for A10. But theoretically, you challenge yourself in the non-conference, but you better not slip up, because if you slip up, you have to rely on the conference at that point. Dayton has no margin for error in the non-conference. As good as their non-conference has been, Neil Sullivan does a good job building that non-con, but they have zero margin for error, and that includes this year as well. So that's their only hiccup, if you will.
My disappointment, I hate to use the word mid-major, but you can call us whatever you want. You have to peak. You have to peak in November. If you have a bad November, you have zero chance. And I think that's unfair. I think the NCAA committee, whatever they're doing, they're not picking the best teams in the field. I think they're going off KenPom and all these different quad ones and whatever. It's all formulas. If you look at the eye test and say that team's definitely better than this, like you look at Ohio State has a higher KenPom ranking than the Dayton Flyers. Now, Ohio State right now may be having one of their worst seasons in decades. And they're still ranked higher. It's still more of a.
We talked about that last week. Yeah,
it's more of a quality win to beat Ohio State, who I think is 11-15, than it is beating Dayton with potentially 2 NBA players and a team that's 19-8 or 9. So to me, there's something wrong with that scenario. That formula is not right to me. I don't care who you've played. You have to look at the eye test. I'm going to use that a lot. You have to just analyze the teams. What team is playing better? What team do you think would win on a neutral court in front of 15,000 fans? To me, it would be a no-brainer. I'd pick Dayton, but obviously I'm a fan. You go in KenPom, Dayton would get beat easily.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a fallacy. I don't even look at quad ones. Even Kentucky, which is third in the SEC, has beaten a former number 1 ranked team, Tennessee, twice. And I heard the other day, but they're just off the bubble. How could they be just off the bubble? Who are you going to put in? Who? You mean to tell me there's 67 teams better than Kentucky with 5 NBA players on the roster? Yeah, granted, they haven't played a great year. But I find it surprising. Even Wisconsin, another bubble team, big game tonight. And I think if we played Wisconsin today on a neutral floor in the Bahamas, I don't think it would be
44 to whatever the hell.
Yeah, 44 to 45, and we had the ball 3 times to win in 25 seconds. So, yeah, there's been a lot of head scratching, and that's what makes college basketball great. And you know darn well March is going to be crazy. The conference tournaments are going to be bizarre. You'll have upsets. The team that won the league will lose early in the conference tournament. You're going to have different bids coming out of smaller conferences. You got like Iona, who's going to win their league, but will they win their tournament? So it's going to be you got Wright State. I think Wright State has been playing better the last couple of weeks. They're a team that could easily, I don't mean easily to shed light on the work ethic, but they've got a chance to make a run in the conference tournament. They just beat NKU.
Yeah, they dropped 2 this past weekend.
Yeah, but I still think they're there. I think they've got the talent to make a run. They definitely have the coach.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like, it's going to be a chaotic next couple of weeks here in the Miami Valley, regardless of the team that you follow.
Where was I? I didn't see they lost a couple of
they got punched twice. I was very quiet. So, by the way, went to a sports bar Friday night, me and a good friend of mine, and we walked in. They had a Dayton watch party there. So, and I walk in, and Flyer fans love me.
Did you get
Milanos? Flyer fans love me. Okay, I walk in.
They should love you a lot more.
They should. I've grown up. I haven't grown up. I
don't make me angry.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Now that you have me on the radio all the time.
You see
We're
it.
good buds.
Yes. So
Flyer fans, be nice to Justin. He likes Flyers.
Well,
okay, it's okay.
So Friday night we walk in, Dayton Flyer watch party at the sports bar we're at, and I'm like, well, hell, right, State's on. Do I be that guy? They're on ESPN. Do I be that guy? I was that guy. I said, all right, okay, can you do me a favor? It could be a small TV. Maybe just bring out my own TV. I don't want to. They put the Wright State game up on the TV over there, of course. And I was like, oh, good for them. And then Wright State's down 20. I'm like, if you want to shut that off real quick, I don't think anyone needs to see that. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, Youngstown State, that's going to be the team to beat, right?
Youngstown's up there. Cleveland State, they have Deshaun Parker, the kid from Wayne. I believe that's where he played.
Right.
Yeah. So Deshaun Parker, that Cleveland State, they're not supposed to be good. Cleveland State lost Dennis Gates, who took over at Missouri.
And he's doing
Missouri's really good. And then Daniel Jones, I think is his. I can't remember the coach's name for Cleveland State now. I think it's either way. He's kicking butt right there. They're in second in the league. So it's the two teams from Cleveland right now. But NKU's right at the. But to your point, same thing in A10. Anyone's going to come away with this. Anyone. So we'll see what ends up happening. All right. We'll step away for a few moments. Talk about the newest inductees at the Dayton Flyers Hall of Fame. They're going to be honored coming up at the next home game. So that'll be pretty exciting there. Also on the bubble, you talked about teams on the bubble. Who could we potentially see play at UD Arena for the first four? Joe Lenardi has his latest bracketology out. I just spoke with him today. He's going to be coming on the show here. We'll be talking a little Dayton Flyers hoops with him in the next week or two. As we get closer to Selection Sunday, nonetheless. So we'll step away for a few moments. We're live on the Facebook feed. Go to the Justin Kinder Show Facebook page. If you want to send in questions for Norm, you can do that there, or you could text the show, 518-1410. Text in questions to Norm Grevey, and we'll get to that next. 518-1410. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Wind advisory in effect until 1 a.m. It'll be breezy with showers and 56 tonight. Mostly sunny, breezy, 72 tomorrow. Sunshine, but only 39 on Friday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet with 25,000 30,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Lyric's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Lyric's, continuing the tradition.
The best audio entertainment is on Audible. It's the home of storytelling with audiobooks, exclusive originals, popular podcasts, and more. All in one app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, former Dayton Flyer Norm Grevey, with you live here on a Wednesday. We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. You can text into the show, 518-1410. 518-1410. Text into the show, and you'll be able to be a part of the conversation. If you have a question for Mr. Norm Grevey, go ahead and message into the show, and we'll be able to interact with you that way. Okay, so before we took a pause in the action, Norm, we were talking about, it's wild that Dayton including tonight, 4 more games left in the regular season, and then it's A-10 tournament. The A-10 tournament, of course, will tip off March 7th through the 12th, and that's in Brooklyn. And it's going to be interesting. Obviously, you always look forward to the conference tournament. Unfortunately for Dayton, now you have to rely on that conference tournament. I know the expectations coming in were, you had your ticket punched already, but that's not the case, and you can't change that now. So now it's about taking care of what's in front of you. What's next up for the Flyers? They got UMass tonight on the road. Then they'll return home for 2. They'll have George Mason on Saturday, February 25th, and then LaSalle to close out the regular season on the Tuesday, the 28th. And then the final game of the regular season, Friday, March 3rd, they'll be on the road at St. Louis before the tip-off to the A-10 tournament, March 7th through the 12th in Brooklyn. So keep that in mind. But with that being said, we're getting closer and closer to Selection Sunday, Norm, and us here in the Miami Valley, because of how passionate this city is when it comes to college basketball, and the fact that we are fortunate enough to have the first 4 here in Dayton at UD Arena, of course. It's always fun to kind of keep an eye on the bracketology reports, mainly just to kind of see who are some of the teams we could potentially watch at UD Arena in the first 4. ESPN's Joe Lenardi released his On the Bubble, his latest bracketology report, but his On the Bubble portion of this. Here's who he has in the first 4 as of right now. The 11 seed factor, at least, Nevada and Mississippi State, and then USC and Wisconsin. Obviously, we've been fortunate the last couple of years to have that local flair, if you will. That's not the case as of at least the teams in the mix right now, but some other teams, Norm, North Carolina, they're on the cusp of being in the conversation. Oregon, Arizona State, who's played at the first 4 many times, Penn State, Texas Tech, Utah State. A lot of interesting teams, a lot of very, very good basketball teams we're going to have the chance to potentially see at UD Arena for the first 4.
Oh, yeah, and there'll be great games, great crowds. Nevada is an interesting team. That's with Steve Alford, former coach at Iowa and player at Indiana. You got Whiskey, who's really kind of struggled in the Big Ten through the middle part of the year. They need to make a run. They're 15-11, I think. Illinois seems to be a lock, but they could slide back. You got UNC, which would be epic if they could get up here. They're out. They're not in the tournament right now. They have to play themselves in. Kentucky's in right now. They have a big game tonight down at Florida. It's just balance, It's different. It's getting, the COVID year allowed players to get the 5th year. And you have guys like Kamara's 23 years old. He's not a young basketball player. So, I don't think Dayton is a young team. I really don't. I don't think they're a young team. They're an experienced team. They've been through the wars. Now, last year was kind of their first year together.
See, that's interesting. I like the way you word that, because in college basketball anymore, we always hear people like Ohio State relies on that. Well, they're a young team. I'll give them that. They are a young team. Dayton has youth, a ton of youth. I mean, your best player is a sophomore. You're two, I guess Kamara, you can't ignore him, obviously, but, you talk about Malachi and Duran. I mean, they're second-year players,
Exactly.
but they're experienced. They're technically sophomores. I mean, there's not a lot of teams out there that could be led by sophomores, but that's the case here. But so they're experienced players, obviously not, the upperclassmen, but yeah, so it's interesting to kind of decipher that or to kind of balance.
And Ohio
that,
State is a young team. And as we've talked, losing Malachi Branham to the draft, really, I think kind of disrupted this season because I think they were hoping to have Sensabaugh and Branham together to be one of the best.
Ohio State basketball fan base, they have an identity crisis. They don't know who the heck they are. They have these imaginary expectations for a program that they don't care about until a month left in the season. And I'm like, that ain't fair. You don't watch a lick of Ohio State basketball all year until college football is done, and then all of a sudden you have all these Ohio State hot takes. I get real defensive of Chris Holtmann, big Chris Holtmann fan. So I get real defensive of Chris Holtmann for whatever reason. But man, there's just not a lot of realistic expectations as far as.
Well, I was surprised too that Ohio State usually gets the best player out of Ohio. Now they do have a guard coming or like a 3-man coming to replace, their scoring from Pick Central.
Yep.
And I was kind of surprised to see Gabe Cupps go to Indiana. I'm not surprised, but usually the best guard in Ohio, I can go back with Jay Burson, and you can go with Dieblers, and usually go to Ohio State.
Yep, you had obviously you had your Leidies, your David. We're going back 10+ years.
Yeah,
to go back to that. William Buford was Mr. Basketball, but the best. I mean, not
you usually get to now. Yeah. Kennard, wanted to get away from Ohio.
A weird situation. He was like an upper tier player.
He wanted to go, he had it down to Kentucky and Duke. And I think everybody knew he wanted to get out of Ohio and kind of build his brand in a different program. But I think Ohio State has a great coach. Obviously when your football program is where they are, a top 2-3 program in the United States of America, it's hard to kind of replicate that on the basketball court. Ohio State's had great tradition, though. They've won a national title when they had Lucas. I'm going way back. Thad Matta almost got one.
He almost got two.
Yeah. And I don't think the recruiting, even though they're ranked very high, I think Thad was able to land the blockbuster guys.
Well, here's
you know what I mean?
Your opinion on this. Do you believe? I believe 15 years ago, the talent in Ohio was better. I could be wrong on that, but like when you look at the list of Mr. Basketballs, for that decade,
Jimmy Jackson,
from the 90s, 2000s, like Mr. Basketball, like those were like elite level players. I'm not saying that these kids aren't elite. I'm not disrespecting any high school kid.
Because they won back-to-back. JJ won back-to-back. Durant, LeBron won 2 or 3 in a row. Kennard won 2 in a row. That's
so
all
it's
been
like
in the last.
If you get Mr. Basketball now, you're not getting. I mean, this is no disrespect to these kids at all. That's not what I'm doing. But the point is, like, the level of talent for Mr. Basketballs as of late is not the same. So even if Chris Holtmann was racking up every Mr. Basketball the way Thad Matta was, you're not getting the same level of talent. That's not a shot at any high school kid out there. So I want to keep predicating that. But I'm just saying, like, it is interesting that the talent in Ohio, it has shifted a bit. Now that has changed. I mean, a lot with these prep teams too. I mean, anytime you show even a lick of talent, you're being plucked away by some of these prep teams. So that doesn't help either.
True. Very true. And states go in droughts periodically. I would say that I don't think Ohio has that aircraft carrier or that guy that's going to turn your program immediately around.
Yep.
But I do think a guy like Gabe Cupps can develop Indiana into what I just went blank. Braden Smith has done with Purdue. I think they're kind of identical guards. I think Cupps will be a 4-year starter, and I think you'll see him really emerge as a star player for Indiana. He won't be getting a lot of points, but he'll run the show for him. But you're right. Cincinnati had, Moeller had McBride. They've had numerous, they've got 2 players in the NBA right now, just Moeller High School. They're not the dominant program they once were a few years back. And you're right. The prep school route has stolen guys, whether it's Huntington Prep, which is not far from here.
So if you go back, and again, these kids like Mr. Basketball, these kids are talented. Like Gabe Cupps, super talented. Like that's why That's why I keep pounding home that I'm not
usually we're talking about an NBA guy
Yes.
immediate.
So
after
that's
1 year, like Branham played 1 year. I don't even know if he didn't get Mr. Basketball. I think the Gabe Cupps got it.
Yeah. So like if you go back to we're talking about in the early 2000s. I mean, from 2001, it was LeBron James in 1, 2, and 3. Jamar Butler, who played at Lima Shawnee, he played in I went to Van Wert High School, so that Shawnee was in that same conference, the WBL. Jamar Butler won it in 2004 before OJ Mayo from
Those were all Ohio State guys.
So, and that's why Jamar Butler goes to Ohio State. LeBron would have gone to Ohio State if he didn't jump to the NBA. Mayo, obviously, he hopped around a little bit. I think he was at USC for a bit. John Diebler, William Buford.
All those guys are Ohio State.
Yep. Jared Solinger.
Ohio State.
And he won it 2 years in a row. Trey Burke went to Michigan, but he almost went to Ohio State, obviously. Justin Fritz. I don't remember Justin Fritz. Mark Loving.
Ohio State.
But it wasn't Luke Kennard obviously won it back-to-back seasons. Xavier Simpson, super talented player.
Michigan.
His dad's a coach at Lima Senior still.
Sure.
Love his dad. His dad's an awesome guy. Xavier was really good, but it wasn't like and he's in the G League somewhere right now, I believe. But Caleb Weston, very solid from Westerville. Dane Goodwin, of course, I think that's the nephew.
Ohio State, that was right in Ohio State's backyard, but there was the Thad changing of the guard
transition.
coming.
And Dane, I think, was looking at Dayton for a bit too, if I'm not mistaken. But Dane was really good. That's the nephew. Is that the nephew or son?
Well, I think he had already committed to Ohio State.
He went to. I think he went to Notre Dame,
and then went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, so
it's
he did.
The son of Damon, who played at Dayton.
Samari Curtis. Samari felt bad for him because he had committed to Cincinnati, and then who was it that left? He'd take the UCLA job. And then I forgot where he went out. Oh, then who was the Buzz? Who was the short coat Buzz? He left Virginia Tech to go to Texas A&M. So then he left there, and then he ended up at Bowling Green, and he's somewhere else now. He just played at the Nutter Center earlier in the year, and now I can't think of where he's at now, and it's driving me crazy. Sorry to go down this bad radio. My bad.
But he was a good player.
Yep. I've never heard of this guy. In 2020, Von Cameron Davis. Where did he go?
I couldn't tell you.
And then Gabe Cupps in 2022.
And this year, it could be Gabe Cupps, but I think the best player I saw this year was Laurent Rice from Wayne, who got MVP of the league. He got GWAC Player of the Year.
He broke Trice's scoring record out there. Kid's fantastic.
I really am. I would have liked to seen him stay local. He's going to Murray State, and he's going to be a stud there. But he is a
Trice on Wright State's coaching staff. You needed to get Laurent Rice to Wright State. Like that. I mean, come on.
I think the only negative on Laurent is that he's very thin. He probably only weighs 160 pounds, and he's 6'4".
Austin Parks. By the way, I'm not saying he should be Mr. I. He's very. He's that 7-footer.
Big guy inside.
Yeah, he's at St. Mary's. He's going to Ohio State. That's where former Dayton Mark Ashman. I've talked about him a ton. He was my basketball coach.
Oh, that was where Damon originally was from. There.
So, a lot of guys come from that area. But yeah, Austin
that's
Parks.
good stuff. It's a little down this year at the top level, I would say, in terms of the big name players.
But Justin Kinner, former Flyer Norm Grevey, with you here. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in and hanging out with us here today. We're going to step away for a few moments. We'll talk about the Dayton Flyers Hall of Fame class, and we'll get to see that class, I believe, for the LaSalle game. And that's next week. So we'll talk about that with Norm coming up. Before we put a bow on it, we'll give you our final thoughts heading in to the Flyers matchup at UMass coming up here later on tonight. That's on CBS Sports Network. That's a 7:00 tip-off. So we're about an hour and 15 away from that. But I'm Justin Kinner. He's Norm Grevey. We'll step away for a few minutes, and we'll come back. I do see quite a handful of questions that have come in on the text line. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to text in any questions for Norm Grevey, and we'll answer those when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher / customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
Did you know that over 90% of male enhancement pills are virtually the same thing that's repackaged, redone over and over again? Why settle for the same old product when you can get something completely different? Something that takes male enhancement into the 21st century. Something that really works. Men, you need to try Noxitril, the explosive, all-natural male enhancement formula that will unlock your performance in the bedroom to a level you could only dream of. Try to imagine Viagra on steroids. Noxitril is so powerful, that's why it took years for it to finally become available to the public without a prescription. So call now and take advantage of our special Noxitril free bottle offer today. Oh yeah, we recommend that you use the Noxitril dose as directed. Think of your partner. We certainly don't want you to overperform in the bedroom.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last. Call 1-800-605-1673. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now, 800-605-1673. That's 800-605-1673.
Big features, big ink, big savings. That's what you get when you buy an HP printer at Staples. Like the HP Smart Tank 7301. You can connect, work, and boost your productivity. The HP Smart Tank delivers seamless printing and quality color documents at a low cost. Plus, you get 2 years of ink right out of the box. And now, for a limited time, save $90 on the HP Smart Tank 7301 at Staples. For the best deals on a huge selection of HP printers, go to Staples. Offer good in-store and online. Ends 2/25.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. Payroll doesn't seem that hard. It's just pay rate times hours worked, right? Sounds easy enough. Well, payroll is easy as long as each employee's tax withholdings are properly set up and as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot along the way. But payroll can be punishing for business owners like me who will assemble their kids' toys without reading the instructions first. We don't need to read instructions unless we're desperate. That's why Patriot Software offers payroll setup and support for free for businesses with up to 100 employees. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Norm Grevey, live here on a Wednesday. Dayton Flyers on the road tonight. 4 more games remaining. 2 road games, 2 home games. And the Flyers, their second to last road game of the season at UMass tonight. They'll return home for 2 against George Mason and LaSalle next Saturday and Tuesday. And then they'll close it out on Friday night, March 3rd on ESPN against St. Louis. And, of course, we have about 8 minutes remaining here, Norm. And, again, regardless, I mean, we've talked about how much this team has improved, and this team has improved because what the one thing you have had is we've seen this the stages of growth of the team, and they've had to navigate through a lot of injuries. But where we've seen them navigate the most is Deron Holmes dominated to start and never disappeared, but then he had to adapt to the way teams were defending him. And then as he adapted to the way teams defended him, then Tamani Kamara, who we always knew there was an animal in there somewhere, he emerged as just a freaking baller down there. And then once Deron got used to the certain way teams were playing him defensively, and then teams had to shift again because they couldn't put all their attention on Deron because of Tamani. Now, Deron and Tamani Kamara, again, we talked about it, 15 and 19 combined last Friday night against Loyola. Now you can't stop either of them. And you and I were talking during the break. This is a very weird scenario, but when we talk about A-10 player of the year, there's a lot of good candidates out there. But I think 2 of the candidates are on the same team, Deron versus Tamani. I mean, right now they're not in the position they're in. If they're without either one of those 2, they're not in this position that they're in. But that's how dominant those 2 have been. I'm fascinated by those 2 having to go head to head to figure out who's the A-10 player of the year. Who else in the A-10 is up with them in that, as far as that conversation goes? Lots of good players.
Well, I think Yuri Collins with his assists and the way he's kept St. Louis together, even though they've kind of struggled as a group.
Yep.
They've kind of underperformed. They haven't had the injury bug like quite the Dayton Flyers have. And Yuri Collins, and just the other night, he had 17 assists in their loss. They had Richmond beat and gave up a huge win opportunity. I would look at Ace Baldwin for VCU. I'm probably forgetting another player on VCU. You got 2 players out of that league. You've got some guys out of Fordham. Quisenberry's up there. He's one of the leaders of that squad. GW, a star player. I went blank on him. He leads the league in scoring. But I think it's going to be a 2-horse race between Deron Holmes and Tamani Kamara. My nod would be, the first probably 15 games of the year, I would say Deron had it, locked up. I would say these last 15 games, Tamani's played better than anybody in the league. He's shooting the basketball well. Coach Grant implemented more high-lows with Tamani at the elbows and top of the keys. We're looking inside to Deron. If it's not there, he's able to put the ball on the deck without turning it over. He's improved that aspect of his game. He went and had 27 against VCU with only maybe 1 turnover after the first time around, had 28. If you're getting 27, 28, 29 against a team you've played twice, back-to-back, that's incredible basketball. And then you forget about what he does defensively. Coach Grant says he's the best defensive player in the league in the A-10. So when you combine his defensive prowess with his scoring ability, I have to go with Tamani Kamara with his leadership. But it wouldn't bother me at all to see both of them. They're pretty much guaranteed first team. They're both going to get first team all A-10 without a doubt. Malachi was projected to be a second team all-league performer during preseason. Injuries prevented that. So been a great year for those 2 guys, and I hope that the team can continue to just take one game at a time. Rebounding is going to be key tonight. You got to win the glass, Justin. I'm going to say it every night. You got to limit your turnovers, and hopefully Kobe Bryant and Elvis can knock down a few shots, and that's all they're going to need.
So, Anthony Grant, that's your guy.
That's my guy. We're your teammates.
and by the way, nothing wrong. And he's such a polarizing figure because he's been the punching bag for when things go wrong. And that's every team, by the way. When things go wrong, I mean, my goodness, you're the national coach of the year one moment, and you're the reason that your team's losing the next, right? Like, there's no in between. But it's been a very weird season as far as how people have viewed and analyzed Anthony Grant as a head coach of this Flyers team. But when it's all said and done, let's be clear. And I see a very funny thing happening. I don't mean funny in a disrespectful way, but it's been an up and down year from performance-wise, but also the perception of Anthony Grant throughout for the fan base throughout. I mean, it's a polarizing conversation out there. You have a different viewpoint being a former player, being his teammate. You have a different view of it. But when I think about how fans talk about it, it's strange. He could be A-10 coach of the year when it's us. If they win the league, that
he definitely
should be
is going to get
because
that.
of the injuries. And
that or the
because of
Fordham
everything.
coach. And I think Anthony wouldn't bother him either way. But I would be the first one to say,
from his perspective, he wouldn't carry the weight. But I think the
first
job
say
he's done
Anthony, would say, yeah, there was probably some things he could have done differently, especially when we were in that little lull spell, losing at St. Bonnie, which was really our only loss in the last 5 out of 6 games, losing to GW. Every coach is going to have some games where you question what you did. We could have called timeout here or there. You can scrutinize this, that, and the other. But I think just from the way he's been able to keep the team together for the whole year is what I've been most impressed. And then second most impressed, his ability to make adjustments the last few weeks of the season, allowing Tamani to go to work and not just come down and throw it into Duran. I think we've gotten a lot better offensively. And now you see Kobe Brea playing better. You see Malachi getting shots. You see Tamani, the game's coming easier for him. Duran's Duran. He's still getting his stuff. But I think allowing Tamani to be more creative and instilling confidence in him and let him take the leadership role, you got to credit coach for that.
So the reason I bring this up is because, and this is the Coach of the Year award to me is always the best storyline of the year award. It's never the best coach of the year. And that's no disrespect to any coach who wins this. But my point is, how many great coaches in any sport win it when they first get to their new respective school and then they don't win it again the rest of the way? I mean, Urban Meyer, did he win it once when he was at Ohio State? I mean, you mean to tell me he wasn't the best coach in the Big Ten every year? So with this, if Dayton would have been a top 25 team, at-large team, all that, there's no disrespect. He's not coach of the year because you're doing what you're supposed to.
Right.
But when you lose all the talent that they did, you have so many freshmen playing key moment, like Cher Jomps having to be the premier ball handler. You lose so much for them to be able to get through that, come back, regather themselves, potentially win. Again, these next 4 games are crucial to this narrative of mine here, but I see a scenario. I would not have pitted him as coach of the year because it's always the storyline of the year. If they were the top 25 team that what they're doing, what they're supposed to, with everything they went through, they're not supposed to be at the top of the league right now, or at least winning in the regular season despite everything. So that's why, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being named the coach of the year. But the Fordham coach, you're right. We're talking about Fordham. I mean, we're at the end of the day, I guess that's the storyline right there. I mean, who the hell wins at Fordham?
They haven't been in a tournament since 1991. That is, to me, what they've done is incredible. He's probably a lock to win the A-10 Coach of the Year. But I think Anthony has done a fabulous job these last 3 weeks. It was a very tough start to the season with Kobe Brea out and Malachi at re-injuring his ankle. The year started off on a Debbie Downer right after the Blue-Red game.
Yep.
And then we played poorly down, and Brea didn't even go. And then Kobe Elvis gets hurt. That really hurt us going into the non-conference meet of our schedule. Lost at VTech, kind of regrouped after that. There was 3 or 4 times this year where the Flyers could have just packed it in. The VTech loss, the Wisconsin loss, St. Bonnie loss, the George Washington loss. Those games were all could have just packed it in and finished the year out. And credit to the staff, even they're around the players even more than the head coach and Coach Greer, Coach Kane. They brought the Cincinnati head coach up. They're not lacking minds
Brandon.
on the sideline. Yeah, Brandon.
I like Brandon. I've known of him obviously from his time at Northern Kentucky. Watched it up close with what he did there, and then of course Cincinnati. I think that was a derailment that I think it was a derailment. He was railroaded. Let's just put.
It just wasn't a right fit. He probably should have stayed at NKU for the longest of times and been a legend down there.
Darren Horn took over for him at NKU. They haven't missed a beat. So that's no shot at Brandon. I'm just saying that's how steady he had that program rolling. So.
And I think Darren Horn's a heck of a coach from Lexington.
Yep.
So
nonetheless. All right. Well, we'll do this again next week. Hopefully, we're talking about a couple more Flyer wins between now and then as well. Dayton at UMass tonight, 7 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Flyers return home Saturday, February 25th They have George Mason, and then they'll close out the home portion of the regular season against LaSalle on February 28th. And then they'll wrap it up on March 3rd, which is a Friday. And that's where, of course, they'll be on the road at St. Louis, potentially playing.
And VCU has 3 games left. They got Richmond, St. Louis, both of those games at home, and then they have to go to GW. So Dayton has 4 games. VCU has 3. They have to have win out and have VCU lose 1, get that 1 seed.
All right. Appreciate Milano's. Larry at Milano's. He dropped off our dinner for the night, so I beyond appreciate him taking that time to do that. And I did tell him, too, they are, for a right now fundraiser, the South Stars Soccer Club fundraiser. All right. The South Stars Day. It's Sunday, February 26th from noon to 4. It's at the Star City Brewery in Miamisburg. Beer, food, and lots of raffles is what he said. But Larry, I got you. It's the South Stars Soccer Club fundraiser, South Stars Day, Sunday, February 26th at Star City Brewery in Miamisburg. It's from 12 to 4 p.m. Beer, food, lots of raffles. So go and support that. I told Larry I got him covered for that. But,
good man.
Your visit also
Go
brought
Milanos.
to you by Wealth Management Group as well. So
Thank
tell
you.
everyone about that. I heard the owner, your boss, is just he's can be a real jerk sometimes.
No,
at least he lets you off to come to hang out with us on Friday.
It's been a decent year to start the year. Let's just say that way. Last year was a brutal year for investors, but this year is a little better.
So, again, tell everyone what number to call if they want to give you a call.
937-371-6798.
They call him the money guru.
That's right.
At least that's what I call
We'll make
him.
you money.
Yeah.
Don't play the gambling games. Just do the market.
I'll tell you what, with the money I make off my FanDuel, I'll take to you to invest. It's a win-win.
There you go.
It's a win-win, but nonetheless. All right, folks, have a great night. Dayton, UMass tonight, 7 o'clock. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.